All right, guys, can you hear me at all? Anyone out there, can you hear me? As I stand here looking like a fool? Oh, here we go. We're live. Yep, I can hear myself too. Oh, here we go. We're live. We're in a different link. No one has joined, though. Yep, I can hear myself too. Oh, here we go. We're live. We're in a different link. No one has joined, though. All right, what? Okay, Rick B is back. Rick B's with us. Rick, hello. You see, we're back here in living color, like you said. No technical difficulties. Rick, is it possible if you can go to the other link, the original, and get the people from over there back in? If they X out, they can see the new link under the channel. If that's okay. He should be able to. He should. Okay, I think we have a couple other people in here. All right, guys, we're going to be starting momentarily. We're going to be doing Halloween Havoc 1990. This is the second ever Halloween Havoc.
You know what I need to do? Shit.
Rick, thank you very much for going back in and getting some people in there, like Phil and the others in there. I appreciate that. Shouldn't take just a moment. And we're going to be right here. We're going to be starting in a couple minutes. Dan's going to be back momentarily. He's just fixing whatever happened. It seems like the studio has had some interesting technical difficulties, maybe some curses put on us, who knows, by the wrestling gods. Let's just wait just another moment. And again, we're going to be watching Halloween Havoc 90. It is Halloween night. To this, I don't know where everyone else is right now, but today was about 66 degrees. Very beautiful, warm day for late October. I hope it's this nice come the day of the event. Probably won't be, knowing New England, but hopefully it'll be a decent day weather-wise, and people will be able to make it to the show. If anyone is out there, oh, we got this. And that's the link, everyone. So Dan just dropped the link for Halloween Havoc 90. It's on Peacock. You can just click on that if you're watching from a phone or tablet of some sort. Or if you have your television in front of you, you can just go on Peacock, go to WB, go to Halloween Havoc Season 2. It's 1990. You'll see a picture of cartoon Sting. A little creepy. Not as cool as last week's with the Road Warriors, but you'll see Halloween Havoc 1990 under Season 2, 1 episode. So go to that link if you're watching on a phone or tablet. If you're on your TV, then just go to Peacock and check it out. But we'll be starting in a couple minutes. We got John C. in the booth. So at the worst case scenario, we've got a safety net with some luscious locks. There he is. Hello, John. Yes. His phone went off a couple times. I don't know if it's all the important people he needs to talk to or just someone who's groveling. I'm not sure. Phil, saw Metallica in Worcester in 88 in Boston, 97. Great shirt. Thank you. One of my favorite bands all time. Favorite album, Ride the Lightning. I'm a big thrash metal fan, so Exodus, Testament, Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, all those guys, all those bands. Great. And Phil, I'll be seeing you November the 13th, as is I should be seeing a lot of people. I really am excited about that day. The FanFest Q&A in particular for the VIPs, I'm really thinking that's going to be a great time. You have all those different legends from different promotions, different walks of life, different stories, all coming together in one building. So, Phil, I can't wait to see you. We're going to have a cool little chat, hopefully, and I'll get to see other people as well. Brad Hamilton, hello. Reynaldo Reyes, hello. Papa Shango, I'm assuming that was from a question I asked about what your favorite Halloween costume was. If you were Papa Shango, that's pretty cool. I don't know if I was a wrestler. I think maybe I dressed up as a wrestler. I wore my mom's leggings one time. I don't know if I should admit that on camera, but I did. I wore my mom's leggings, and I was a pro wrestler for Halloween. Let's see. We got 4 people in the chat. We'll wait a few more minutes, get some more people. And Dan will be coming shortly. Take that for what you will. But he will be here shortly. Any other people who want to talk about what they've done tonight for Halloween? Did anyone go trick-or-treating with their kids, by themselves, with their nephews, nieces, their friends? John C. should have gotten some candy. I'd give him some if I had any. Rick B., no Captain Lou tonight. I don't know where Captain Lou is. He might have another wedding. I'm not sure. Some people like to get married. Have you seen some of the weirdos out there, Dan? He's asking me who would get married on Halloween. A lot of people out there are a little odd. They like Halloween. They might want to get married on Halloween. Let's see. Jason, I saw Metallica in San Francisco beginning in 1986, bringing in 1986 New Year's Eve with Exodus, Melrose, and Megadeth. That's a great show. I would have loved to have seen that show. You might have even seen Exodus with Paul Bailoff, actually, at that point. And Metal Church, Megadeth. Metal Church just, I think the singer just died recently. Someone from Metal Church just died. Passed away, unfortunately. That sounds like a great show. So, the last concert I just went to, last show, I saw Steel Panther at Wally's in Hampton Beach last month. They were phenomenal. They didn't have Lexi Fox, the original bassist. They had another guy standing in, but it was a great show, great energy. I had a great time. But unfortunately, Captain Lou is not here tonight with us. I'd love for him to be here. I love Captain Lou. Captain Lou is one of the most funny, nicest people you can meet. He's just a great human being. Funny story about Captain Lou. My mother was a teacher here in Melrose for a period of time, and she had Captain Lou as a student years ago. So very interesting. Again, we'll be starting in a couple minutes whenever Dan comes back. I don't know where he actually went to. He's in the building. I can hear his voice. Okay, he's switching the social media links. Okay, my apologies. I never know what he's doing half the time, that Marty. I don't think he knows what he's doing half the time, to be honest with you. Oh, I know you are, I'm sure. I am sure. Well, Halloween Havoc 90. We've got the main event in the description box. We have Sid Vicious challenging Sting, which should have been an interesting match. Does anyone have any matches that they're looking forward to in Halloween Havoc 90? And yes, Jerry Remy passed away this weekend. Very sad for Boston sports fans and for the Red Sox nation in particular. I love Jerry Remy. He was kind of the voice, one of the voices of my childhood. Buenos noches, amigos, as he would often say. And I'm here to say that tonight. He had a rough last few years with the issues with his son. He had depression. He had cancer, 5 or 6 times, I think it was. I mean, just an awful, it seemed like such a nice guy to have to go through all that. It's a real shame. Really is. It really is. And, tonight actually is going to be potentially the last game of the World Series, the Braves and the Astros. I don't know if Dan has a suggestion of what's going to happen there. I'm a little surprised. I had Astros in 6. They might get shut out in 5. So it's very interesting, this World Series. But the Braves have been playing great. The Astros, I'm a little shocked, to be honest with you. I do think Houston will win tonight, and they'll push it to a Game 6 where Atlanta will claim it. That's how it's looking right now. That's going to be my official prediction for right now. But originally, I had Astros in 6. And a lot of people did. Houston came in as a bit of a slight favorite, if I remember correctly from the odds makers. Doom versus Flair and Wyndham is what I want to see again from Brad Hamilton. Now, Doom at this point did not have the masks on. They were just Simmons and Reed. How do you get shot in 5? They're going to lose in 5. Shot out in 4, I should have said probably. So, Don the Barber, you're right on that. Doom versus Flair and Wyndham.
Oh, all right, we got to get it started. All right, folks.
Hey!
Hopefully everyone that has this linked up is on WWE Network on Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to go in. I am going to hit the
guys. We're going live in
about
button. We're clicking
and
on
we're
it
literally
now.
It's going to be going live in seconds.
We're going to be starting.
We're going to hit watch from the start
in mere moments.
And we're off to the races.
All right, guys.
Let me
sit
join.
down, grab some popcorn.
Whoa! Well, I'm glad John C. didn't change cameras quite yet.
Some popcorn, some candy from your kids, whatever you got to do. Sit down and enjoy yourself. And we got great 1990s.
I am in the middle of a live Halloween Havoc watch along as we speak online in a giant Happy Halloween shirt. And I want to get that issue taken care of. I don't want to clue the fans into this nonsense, but I think that's what it is, and I'm glad you know that's what it is. But we're getting ready to watch Halloween Havoc 90. Watch along with us.
Phil, you were funny. He was going to dress up as Dan for Halloween. He's going to dress up as you.
That'd be a pretty cheap costume.
You got to get the right sandals and socks combination, or it's not going to work.
Thanks. All right. Well, fans, I am sorry again that this has turned into such a disaster. But ... technology is not perfect.
Well, at least speaking of perfect, we've
and
got
when I
Paul
ask
Heyman.
people that should have the answers, they're not here. So I don't know necessarily how I resolve that.
Well, speaking of perfect, we got Paulie Dangerously and Jim Ross. Jim Ross is dressed as a gangster, and Paulie Dangerously is a vampire.
Dressed as a gangster, CW. All right. Don the Barber, how are you, brother? I haven't seen you in forever.
Wow, Ricky Morton with his hair. He looked like he got a haircut, but it's just a ponytail, I think. He looks like a respectable person from the front now.
Was he not a respectable person?
Well, I love Ricky Morton, but he always looked kind of, as he got older,
You're trying to say that Ricky Morton was a scumbag?
No, he just looked kind of like a trashy person. But
what
Ricky
do you think John C. would look like with a ponytail?
Well, I don't know. His hair is so
unique.
Unique. I can tell you this: if my hair's wet, I could put mine in a small little ponytail.
I cannot.
No. But I will say that Ricky Morton does look. I thought it was someone else. I thought it was maybe JT Southern. If anyone remembers JT Southern out there. All right, Tony Schiavone is the Phantom, I guess, of the opera.
Yeah, that would be a good guess.
Fun fact, I believe the next year, I don't know, I should say it if we're doing Halloween Havoc 91. Maybe I should keep that for myself on that one. And we've got Ricky Morton and Tommy Rich in a ring with a red canvas.
Gary Michael Capetta all dressed up. Gary's
I
pet Cecil the Lion.
Oh, Gary Michael. I enjoyed Gary Michael Capetta's
when he
work.
pet Cecil the Lion?
I'd pet any lion.
Well, Cecil is a lion of a... Just ask John C.'s mother. Cecil's a different kind of lion.
Ronaldo, yes. Morton team for Tommy Rich. Were they in the York Foundation together too, as Thomas Rich and Richard Morton? I believe they were.
At this point in 90?
Well, that was later on. But
later on. For sure.
Later on.
Well, you can tell there's a little audio sweetening going on with the.
Stan Lane looked like the ultimate male stripper, didn't he? Just looked like the.
I never really thought of it from that point.
Well, he kind of did, and then you had Bob Eaton, who really didn't look like the ultimate male stripper. But this is the last night for Jim Cornette and Bobby and Stan Lane. Halloween Havoc 90, I think. I think afterwards they were done. I believe they were gone. This is when
that sounds about right off the top of my head, even though I could Google it. I'm not going to cheat.
I believe this was when Cornette left WCW.
And Lane.
And Lane. And that was kind of it for Lane's full, career on the big league spectrum. Didn't really wrestle too much after that as a full-time competitor.
No, he didn't wrestle, but he did go on and have that announcing career with old Uncle Vince.
I think Jerry got him that position, maybe?
I don't know. I don't remember how that came to be. I remember Cornette had a brief WCW return under Bill Watts when they tried to set up that working relationship with Smoky Mountain in early 1993. And then once Watts was gone, Cornette realized he'd lose his mind. But all right, let's see. I need you to carry the boatload for a second.
I can do that. So, guys, we're here to start the first match, the Midnight Express, Stan Lane and Bob Eaton again, and I'm watching this match, and it hits me. The wrestling gear of today that the wrestlers wear, whether the indie wrestlers, the ones in the major promotions like WWE and AEW, they really have come a long way with wrestling gear. I mean, Tommy Rich looks like he just put his underwear in with the whites and the blues. It's like this weird tie-dye thing. Bob Eaton's got this weird stripe thing. They were, you know what I'm talking about, Dan? They seem to have, the wrestling gear was different back then.
For who?
Just in general, if you compare the wrestlers of today and what they wear, the way the tights are.
Certainly not as elaborate.
Yes. Now it's almost
but they look more like men.
Well,
So not that the guys today don't look like men, but you know what even Ricky Morton, who would be the smallest guy in the match, I would say.
Well,
he looks tougher than a lot of the WWE roster of nowadays.
I'm going to say this. Some of the competitors we're going to have on November the 13th at the Memorial Hall are a lot of them are extremely great athletes, and they look phenomenal. I think, honestly, a lot of them look like men. I think that wrestling today has become more athletic, which is a good thing. It's just sometimes that athleticism is not handled right. But there's always been athletes in wrestling, always. From the moment it started to now, there's always been great athletes in wrestling. I think they're just able to show it off a little bit more.
Well, thank you. That was a very astute observations.
Chris Steve sent an email off about my
Chris,
poster,
you know what,
Dan.
buddy? I want to tell all you guys, if you've been trying to message me on social media, if you wouldn't believe how swamped we have been trying to lead into our 20th anniversary Back to the 90s extravaganza Saturday night, November the 13th, from the historic Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. VIP packages and tickets on sale now at bostonwrestling.com. I'm sure you've all heard the horrible news that Hacksaw Jim Duggan had prostate cancer surgery this week. I had known that, but I could not divulge it, obviously, until the Duggans decided to make their announcement. It really put a damper on my little mini vacation down to Halloween Horror Nights, because I spent the entire time trying to find and work on different replacements for Jim. And then on top of that, once returning home, the Berzerker's father died. And he has, I think, he's one of 11 siblings, so they're going to be flying in from all over the country. It's highly unlikely he's going to be able to join us. So I had to search high and low. I thank my dear friends at WWE for helping me, because for the first time ever, we actually booked someone when they were in the middle of the ocean. So we're going to have a 3-time women's champion and WWE Hall of Famer Alundra Blaze with us, which is unique. We certainly weren't expecting that. But you know what? Her speech from the Cauliflower Alley Club is going to be available on the YouTube channel over the next couple of days, which I thought was very interesting. It certainly got people talking. She's a very well-spoken lady. I think she's a classy lady, a very upfront lady. I like her. I'm looking forward to a very unexpected addition to our extravaganza.
I'm going to be watching myself around Alundra Blaze. I don't want to say the wrong thing and get beat up.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, she seems like a very, very stern but fair woman, I would say.
Stern but fair.
Stern but fair.
Well, that's the name of our Sunday Night Wrestling Insiders podcast. I don't know if that was a little segue.
A little segue into that.
I'm trying to. That works perfectly.
By the way, Phil said you dressed up as Ace Frehley and went to Halloween Mass for your communion. Phil, good on you. I'm a big fan of Ace. Saw him live a few years ago. It was great. But back to the match. Looks like Ricky Morton is getting to be in a bit of distress. And Stan Lane's working him over pretty well. Oh, okay. Crow's line here by Stan. Stan Lane had 2 great runs and 2 great tag teams. You don't really see that a lot. But he had the original Fabulous Ones with Steve Kern. And then he had this run, obviously, now with Bob Eaton in the later part of the 80s into the early 90s. So he had 2 great runs. And Stan, I think, was one of those guys who, from what I understand, he had great cardio. He would never blow up. He just could go all night. Met Ric Flair, and that's how he broke into wrestling. Ric Flair broke him into wrestling. I mean, how much clearer can you get than that? So Stan Lane had quite an interesting career. Sweet toupee, Stan Lane. Well, hey, I mean, it was you have to keep a certain look. That's all I'm going to say. All these guys had great flows. Bob Eaton had probably the greatest mullet in all of wrestling at one point. And Ricky Morton, too. Oh, Bob Eaton's getting to the top. I don't know what that was. He just kind of jumped and landed on his feet. I don't know what that was about. Stan was quite the ladies' man, too. Phil, I'd agree. I believe Steve Kern was the one who told him to settle down and go find someone. But Stan, and he was a good-looking guy. And, being in that Memphis territory, you kind of had to service the fans, as they say.
Whoa!
I meant service them with a good time in the wrestling matches.
All right.
You had to,
I'm dealing with nothing major, but just
he's dealing with everything.
The underbelly of professional wrestling with one of our great local athletes.
Great local athletes. So someone on the show potentially. On 11/13.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
But I mean, you talk about, now that I can get back to this outstanding match with 4 great veterans.
Oh yeah,
great
phenomenal.
ring referee, great ring announcer.
Got a world champion in there.
Gary looks like he's
he looks like the Pink
he's ready
Panther.
to serve us as well, but that's a different story for a different time, I guess. But
Liberace
I like
chauffeur.
Gary. Gary's such an insightful guy.
Have you met him?
Oh, he's been in this studio many times.
Oh, okay.
He's a little. There's no way I can use.
Does he
the
talk
word
like
I
he
wanted to
announces?
use. No,
Okay.
he's actually he's a smoker, so he has kind of a deep voice.
Really?
But there are some great Gary Capetta interviews on our YouTube channel. We tried to put together a DVD of some of the interviews, and Gary, he liked the covers. He didn't like the covers, but you know what? I'd have Gary back anytime.
It's so interesting now thinking of a DVD cover in the year 2021.
Well, he was big on it.
Because back in the day, all these indie promotions had DVDs, and you always looked at the cover, and it was like an album cover. You wanted it to look great and capture everything, and it's so interesting now. Now we have promotional art on the internet, where Facebook and Twitter and social media platforms are being shown. Chris Francis, hello from Brantford, Ontario, Canada, over the border to the north. Well, hello.
Is that where it is, to the north?
To the north. Well, hello, Chris. Hello. Thank you for joining us from Canada. It's nice to know that the NWF has fans just not in the United States, but all over the world. Rocket launcher here? Whoa, that was... I actually like the platform. I don't know what you think about it, Dan, with the platform that goes to the ring. I think AEW
always liked it.
I think it's interesting. I don't think it's... I'm sure it's an extra expense for the company and to build it and all that. But I think it's interesting. You could do spots with it. You can work it. It's an interesting look. I know ECW did it for a while. Trying to think of who else did it. TNA might have done it. I don't know. AEW does it here and there for a couple shows. I'm not sure exactly which ones, but the platform's interesting. And also, what do you think about the red can? Oh, what was that? That was interesting.
Why is that red? I don't know. You'd think if there was going to be some blood on the event, a lighter color might make it stand out a little bit.
What do you like for ring canvas colors and ropes? And they have orange ropes, I believe, or red ropes maybe.
Great
backbreaker.
No, I really like that.
Gosh, Bobby,
you don't see that very often.
He was so good. Rest in peace. He was such a great performer. Just if there was one man that understood wrestling, it was Bob Eaton. Just great.
Yeah, the Midnight Express, one of my favorites, is a young Marty. Never a rock and roll guy.
You didn't like the baby faces much.
I didn't like the NWA baby faces for the most part.
Is it because you're such a heel in real life?
I'm not a heel.
No.
I have moments when I can be a heel in real life that last seconds.
Okay.
Everyone that knows the real Dan knows the good and there's a little bad in everybody, but
right. No, but for ring ropes and canvases, do you have a certain color scheme that you like or not?
I always like the classic WWF red, white, and blue.
Okay.
I like that spot.
Do you know what color
Eddie Guerrero
scheme?
Took it from him? What's that?
Do you know what scheme we're going to have on November the 13th?
I don't have a clue. It's not because we don't have our own ring.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So I guess it's surprise. TBA.
Maybe it'll be some ridiculous color scheme like pink and green.
No, I think the individual knows that would not be something that I would enjoy.
Well, I would like pink and green because I like the bright colors, but that's me.
You go. You're very bright and cheerful.
I am. I try to be. Well, I think...
John C., what color would you like to see the ropes on November 13th?
WCW did yellow and blue for a while. I like white.
They did?
I like blue. I know I'm not a big fan of the blue ring canvases a lot of times.
Yellow, green, and light brown.
Oh, come on,
Yellow,
C.
green, and black.
You know what we're going to do?
NXT.
We're going to bring Don the Barber November 13th, and we're going to have him cut your hair. And I bet you we could make ropes to go around all 3 sides of the ring if we stretched it out. What do you think?
Well...
you really weren't
cables.
expected to decipher that one.
When they go get a ring, they could get rope, cables, John C's hair. Those are the 3 options.
I feel like I really need this though for my costume.
And WCW, everyone.
I need help.
You do need help. And WCW, I believe, used cables, which are a little bit springier, which I like. I like the cables.
There were very few promotions that didn't use cables.
Yeah, WWF. Well,
was the only one that I can think of off the top of my. And someone's going to correct me.
Is that because of the big guys they had, and it was just?
No, it's just, to be honest, as far as I know, Vince McMahon loves rope.
For what reason?
I told you about, I think, the snow cone story. So I mean, I can't explain
The snow cone. I don't think I heard the snow cone story. No.
When I was there at one of the TV tapings, different, they depended upon where we were in the country. They'd have catering, would have different themes sometimes, and it was the summer, so it had to have been just before I left. He, walked in, and everyone's, that doesn't know him well is tense and timid and whatnot. He went up, and they had a little snow cone makeup at the dessert end, and he picked one up, and he almost like he was Austin with the beers, and he decided to hoist them in the air and scream, "I love snow cones." And left. He wanted people to know they enjoyed the snow cones
Did he eat
that he
them
was
both?
paying for. Well, he took them with him. I don't know if he was going to give Linda one of the snow cones, but I don't know if he brought one to share or if they were both for him.
I've heard that catering for WWE is fantastic. They have great catering.
Usually,
Very
again, like I said, sometimes they'd try and come up with different, at least back then, they'd come up with different themes for different areas of the country. Like, maybe certain kinds of seafood if you were in Baltimore or San Francisco. Chowders, like up in this area, Boston,
Right.
I
heard nowadays it's very healthy, the catering.
Yeah, and back then, in that era, back then too, I can't speak for...
You only speak for the time you were there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard stories back in the mid-90s when they weren't doing so hot, you get some chicken breast, and it was very basic, and, the boys were there all day, so they needed some sustenance, and I'm sure TV is still like that, where they're there for a while, and they have to have something to eat.
I would never eat the day of the event, as you'll see.
No, you've told me that, and the day of the event, I'm going to, go to and be like, go eat a candy bar or something.
And it's the only, maybe, well, you know what? I'll give Tony Atlas credit on a few things. But one thing I do give him credit for is some kind of delayed reaction there from Wildfire.
And Ricky Morton worked like 80%
exactly
of this
burning
match.
on that one, but
Ricky Morton worked 80% of this match, it seemed like. Tommy Rich. But Tommy Rich, they're going to be selling this shot here.
What is this?
The Southern Boys, is that Tracy Smothers and is that Steve Armstrong?
You know what I was going to say? Lance Armstrong. I don't think it's him.
One of the Armstrong boys.
I think Steve.
Not Brian.
Yeah.
Not
it's Steve.
Steve.
Wow. They had the midnight. No wonder why they wanted out to do a job to them. Ouch. Ladies and gentlemen, your winners, Tommy Wildfire Rich and Ricky Morton.
Well,
I
like the match.
And the opener. Wasn't a bad match.
Wasn't a bad match.
Like I said, 4 great workers. Good commentators, a good referee, a good ring announcer,
Look at those
a
lips
good
on-
interviewer. Holy shit. It feels like you're watching a professional wrestling show.
And then you got a star in Sting who, I swear, if he went to Vince in 91, 92, that would have been the guy.
It would have been very interesting to see how big of a star he would have become.
And I love Bret Hart.
Compared to Hogan and the Warrior.
And I love Bret Hart to death. Bret wouldn't have gotten that spot with Sting there.
No.
I love
Bret would have been pigeonholed where he was, I think.
He would have been right towards the top, but that would have been about as far as he would have. B+, yeah. Intercontinental guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not a bad spot, but not the guy.
But what's up with Tony's lips? They look very plump and full.
Tony's what?
Tony's lips. They're very plump and full, like he had some makeup on them. I'm not saying I'm interested in his lips. Just the man has
You're really
some
worried about Tony's lips.
I don't have any issue with his lips. I'm just making an observation. All right. And Sting looked great with the pink and the again, I'm a color guy, so it was great to see all the colors. That's the one thing I like about the Attitude Era. Everyone wanted to be in black. Everyone wanted to wear black, be the badass in black. It was nice to see some people with color.
Is that what you like, the people of color?
Well, I do, yes.
Yeah.
I do. I do not
Number
discriminate.
3?
4, 5, and 6, brother. I mean, we can go all day with it.
My my dear friend in Malden. But anyway.
Yes. Sting probably the only guy still wrestling
Well,
from
maybe
back
that's
then.
him right there.
Oh, the Black Scorpion. Oh, this poor girl. She's like, I have to work for this company and be a plant.
This is like a bad show at an amusement park.
And this was Ole Anderson's voice.
As you can tell, that man in the costume was doing absolutely no speaking. But, and then to think they'd try and reincarnate this in '94 with what the hell did they call Brutus Beefcake when he was under the hood?
Oh, the Butcher?
Well, he was the Butcher, but leading into it, they had various masked men like the Black Demon, Scorpion, whatever the hell his name was.
I can't remember, but I know they main evented Starrcade, Hogan and him. Starrcade '94 was Beefcake and Hogan. That is like the most anticlimactic main event in 1994, but that's what it was.
All right, back to the action, ladies. Sting doesn't know what's going on. We got a little Harry Houdini going on.
Sting's flat top was in great form here.
I used to have a flat top like that when I was about that age.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You should bring it back for November the 13th. Or you can
Linda doesn't like the moss like that.
Or maybe next, and maybe in April we could have the Poly Dangerous mullet.
No, I have never had long hair.
Oh. Jim Ross was great here, wasn't he? This was probably, he had the Bell's palsy, but before that, I thought he was great in WCW.
You want to know? I'm going to, since it involves the two people on the screens, one of the great compliments I've ever received in life actually came via social media.
Okay.
After the interview we did here in studio with Jim Ross, Paul Heyman watched it and tweeted a link to it, saying it was a college-level video on how to give the fans what they want. He thought it was that good. And to get that compliment from him, my God.
Yeah.
Does your day get any better than that?
That's I mean.
And to make the story even more interesting, you know where I was when I read this tweet?
How long ago was this? 4 or 5 years ago?
17? December of 17, I think.
You had him in here. So what was?
No, I'm talking about when I actually read the tweet where I was.
Okay.
I was at Shaw's with your longtime close personal friend, Quincy Rustani.
Oh, God.
So, I mean, that just makes the story that much better. You know what I mean?
Quincy Rustani, my lord. Quincy Rustani, I hope, will be there November the 13th.
Oh, he was up. You should have seen him, Pat. You know what, fans? If I can think of it, Quincy made a little Halloween video for you guys.
Zodiac, by the way.
When he was handing it out, the Zodiac. No,
that was somewhere. That was another.
He was the Zodiac when he was in the Dungeon of Doom.
Yes, and he would.
This was a gimmick that began, I think, in August of '94 that ran through Halloween Havoc, where for 2 months this black mysterious man would attack Hogan.
Yeah, I can't remember
Anderson did it, but it wasn't him. Steve Kern did it under a mask, and it wound up being revealed as Brutus Beefcake, aka the Butcher. And Halloween Havoc '94, my leg and my back. But I'm glad you guys are with us. Did anyone do anything extraordinarily fun for Halloween outside of joining us? I had the time of my life at Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, where I was able to take a break for a couple of hours from November the 13th. Had both of the little Maraudis with me, which was the first time we had been on vacation together in, my God, I don't even know how long.
How old are both of them now?
23 and 16.
Jeez, time flies, huh?
Well, Linda was young. I had nothing to do with it.
Well, that's
nothing to do with it.
Well, at least you're there.
No, especially she came the second night. So
is that
they said you don't even have to dress up. It's great. That didn't go over so well.
So who's in this match? We've got Jimmy Garvin, who is getting fatter by the day, looks like, and Michael P.S. Hayes, who's not much behind him. Is that Sonny King? Is that Sonny King in the rock and roll tights? And then you've got
I don't know.
And who are these guys? I don't even know who this is. I'm not sure who this was.
That's what I mean. WCW would really waste some valuable pay-per-view time on garbage.
They just, you know what? It just felt like they had. Do they have more people on the roster at this time than Vince?
No, that's the thing. It wasn't an overwhelming roster. Nice. You know what I find very interesting? Here's the answer to why this event is so short. They edited out 3 matches, at least.
Really?
Terry Taylor defeated Bill Irwin. Brad Armstrong defeated J.W. Storm. And the Master Blasters defeated the Southern Boys. Huh. Why? I wonder why they didn't that out.
Were they all terrible matches?
Even if
Or
they
that-
were bad, I think for, prosperity.
Who are they?
These are actually the Youngbloods who are my guess, but I didn't want to guess wrong.
Oh, okay. Chris Young. Was this Chris and Mark Youngblood?
Yes.
I believe one of them passed away, didn't they?
Yes. That's Little Richard Marley outside
Rocky
the ring.
King.
Yes.
Rocky King, not Sonny King. Did I say Sonny? I said Sonny King.
Sonny King managed Cheeky Baby down in Georgia.
Okay.
My legs hurt so much right now. That shows how much we love you guys. Not only are we here in Halloween, as we're 13 days away from the big night, but ... I forgot what I was going to say.
Well,
it's Halloween.
I do have a question, actually.
And I'm in pain.
Well,
I have no adult spirits.
And you don't have to answer this question right now. Is there anything you would like to do for next watch-along? Don't know when that's going to be exactly. But
well, I passed the baton to the fans. We are literally counting down the days to back to the 90s, 20th anniversary WrestleFest.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Should we keep it with 90, 91, early 90s? Any events you guys want us to watch along?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. What, just everyone in the comments, just list some shows you'd want to see us to watch. Anything in particular? I don't know if you want to keep it more with Halloween Havoc in November. That might be a little.
Well, it could be a stretch.
Could be.
But
It could be done
I
for
think
1
Halloween
week.
Horror Nights at Universal Studios goes until next week.
I think one more Halloween Havoc wouldn't hurt.
Maybe one.
Maybe one.
Maybe Thursday night. I know Joey has been anxious to see our programs that Captain Lou Data was supposed to organize, but I guess the data was corrupted.
Well, we don't know exactly what that data has come out to yet.
Yes.
Yes.
It's coming.
It's coming. Maybe the timing's not correct for some of the data. I know at November the 13th, there's so many moving
That
pieces.
date isn't changing.
Well,
maybe I don't know what your schedule is like. I'm being a little presumptive, but maybe next Sunday, obviously, and then maybe the 2 Thursdays leading into the show to get the fans excited for us to go back to the 90s.
We could do something. We could talk about that.
We'll talk about it. All right.
We could talk about
It's not
that.
definite.
Well, we could talk.
We're talking.
Yeah, we could talk.
It's up to John C. at the end of the day.
John C. is the puppet master.
John C. is a Sunday night enforcer. He
Huh.
actually spells it Cunday.
Ah, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Ha ha.
But folks, on top of, for those fans that aren't in the Boston area that are probably getting sick of hearing about our big Back to the 90s reunion,
They should just
Chris
come.
Steves, are you still in the room, brother? I still didn't answer your question. We are going to be having, on Friday night, November 12th, we're going to be having a live episode here with at least one of the featured guests from our reunion. And on Sunday, the 14th, we're going to be having at least one of the featured guests. So we're going to be doing live episodes, Wrestling Insider tapings. Everybody, all of the talents that are booked for November the 13th, at least the featured 8, I should say, they're all going to be doing in-studio shoots too. So you guys are going to have that to look forward to. Plus all that great footage from Las Vegas with The Godfather and Kevin Sullivan and D'Lo Brown. We still have the ECW Wrestling Insider Extreme episodes with Just Incredible, which I think have been very good. JTG, we have more episodes with him. We have more episodes with Demolition Axe. And then I haven't even had time to get into it yet because there's still a lot of work I got to do on this end. But the first week in December, I don't know if you've taken time off from work for it yet, we are headed back to the Sunshine State for Wrestle House 2. Last year, we did the Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. Here, we had talents coming in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for about a month straight. I nearly lost my mind. Instead, we are going back to Tampa. We rented a beautiful, luxurious home. Captain Lou Data, Mr. Room 211 from the MGM, Din Fan, is slated to help with this fine production. And we're going to have Wrestling Insider tapings, live episodes, and cyber autograph signings in Florida, like we did WrestleMania week. when we had Jim Mitchell, we had TJP, we
Mhm.
had JTG, we had Barry Dasso, Demolition Smash, we had Dutch Mantel, we had Jerry Briscoe, we had Al Snow, we had just a plethora of guests, and we're going to be doing it all over again the first week in December. I'm pumped about it. It's going to be easy for me. I don't have to leave the house. I just hop in my shower. I put on my clothes. We talk wrestling. We talk toy drives. We talk Paul Bearer. We bring you great content. So potentially by the middle of December, at least the Wrestling Insider Special Edition show
Mhm.
could be done until maybe next year.
Well, it seems like there's a lot to unpack over the next couple months, is what you're saying. Because
Yes.
there's 2 months left
Yes.
of the year. So there's a lot to unpack over those next 2 months. So it seems like the fans can at least,
Not Din fan.
well, the fans in general can at least look forward to the next
FANS
couple.
or PHANS?
FANS.
Oh, all right,
Fans
all right.
like ceiling fans. But they actually have something to look forward to over the next couple months. But that's the case for all your products, because I think when you put out content as much as you do, it's almost like, geez, the fans like, where do I start?
Well, the Oscar version is easy because it's done over the telephone.
Mm-hmm.
John Cena Sr. is easy because unless we have to line up the Fabo helicopter, he
Oof.
just drives down.
Right.
Just incredible. I'd really like to have him for the foreseeable future. He's easy as well as he's in Connecticut. So that pretty much leaves the Wednesday night special edition
Yes.
and the Thursday night party that never ends.
Well, I was going to say
with
about
Marty.
Just Incredible. His shows have been great. He's been well spoken, very articulate. He seems to be very much in a good spot, which is nice for him. He seems to have a lot of good positives going on. And I think he's had some good stories.
You know what, Lawson? If you could have seen the seats I had for the 2 games that the Astros beat the Red Sox at Fenway Park, maybe I can see if I can upload as I took a couple of little videos with my phone. I was practically in the bullpen. If you look back at any home run hit near the Astros bullpen, I was on top of the Astros bullpen. And I saw 3 of the great Red Sox games I've ever seen in person. The wild card win over the Yankees and the 2 victories over the walk-off wins over the Rays in the division series. I believe you went to one of them.
I was at the game with the Rays right behind the bullpen. Thank you for the tickets again.
Were you there for the 14-inning one or the regular one?
That was the one that went 14 innings. Where
you were there for the
Christian
classic.
Vasquez's walk-off.
Am I sad the Red Sox didn't go further? Of course. I would have loved to have seen them in the World Series. But I'll say this, I'll be honest, unlike maybe some Boston sports fans, I didn't really expect them to be anything more than maybe an 84 or 85 win team on the cusp of maybe being a few games out of a wild card
They kind
spot.
of overperformed.
I never thought, exactly. Yeah. I never expected that from them this year.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy. And I'll say this, despite Buzzgate or whatever you want to call what the Astros did, there are some Astros players I like. I think Luis Garcia is tremendous from what I saw being a few feet away from him. Seemed like a heck of a nice guy. Correa I like. Your little midget second baseman, not so much.
Altuve? He's a great hitter.
Not a fan.
Great hitter.
No, well,
You don't like him? You don't like him personally?
No, I just.
No, he is 5'5", so his strike zone is quite smaller, and it's a little bit easier to be a hitter nowadays than it was, say, 30 years ago. But I mean, I'll say it's the Astros.
Yes, Phil, you're right, brother. Great season.
The Astros are a great team. I'm a little surprised. I was saying earlier at the beginning how Atlanta's winning, and they could win it tonight. I'm a little surprised by that.
You know what's funny? I had a friend of mine who I respect an awful lot with his baseball knowledge, nothing to do with wrestling. We were behind the Red Sox bullpen in those seats for this game, and he said, "Who do you like in the National League?" I said, "I like Atlanta an awful lot." And he said, "Atlanta, they're not even going to make the playoffs."
And they weren't a big favorite, even earlier on.
No, much like the Red Sox.
No one thought
but
they beat LA.
Something about that team that made me say, you know what? There's a spark there.
Well, even when
that's going to be lit.
And I sat there, and once they beat, I agree with you. Once they beat Los Angeles, it was kind of like because Los Angeles was originally the big favorite out of everyone to win it all. And when they beat LA, it was kind of like, wait, they beat LA. Maybe we should kind of take a look at this team.
As much as the Red Sox have gone overboard on the spending, I'd much rather see a smaller market team that isn't spending $200 million win.
If you look at
Unless it's the Red Sox, then they can spend whatever they want.
If you look at the top of the payroll list, who's at the top? Boston.
I think it would be LA.
LA is usually right at the number one. Houston's not even, well, Houston has probably gotten a little bit more, but they're not, I don't think, right at the top. But if you look at a team like Tampa Bay, they didn't spend a lot of money comparatively to those other teams. I thought Tampa had a good shot of getting in, and they didn't.
You know, Don the Barber, I didn't know that. Don said Vegas had the Red Sox at 79.5 wins.
Oh, and how much
over under.
How many they have?
So
90?
someone could have made some good money on that. Did you put any money down, Don?
What did they end up winning at 92, 93?
I think it was 92.
Yeah, 92 and 70, I think it was.
So great year. I mean, any time you have a team that's going to win 92 games, I think you're going to take it and like their odds, at least having, in the end of the day, it's all about who gets hot in October. What happens in the regular season means nothing. The stats reset, baby. But we're here to talk wrestling. Where's Kevin Sullivan? He should be there tonight, along with the reunion of, who is this? A reunion of the House of Pain. Long live the memory of the old Boston Garden, designed by Tex Record, Jack Dempsey's manager. I did not know that. Jason, are you a Boston guy? We do have several episodes with Kevin Sullivan coming your way in the coming weeks. Kevin joined us in Las Vegas. We had a lot of fun, at least for the first 3 episodes. He was a little feisty after the dinner at the Cauliflower Alley Club in Las Vegas for the 4th episode we taped.
Is that one word to describe him?
Well, he had really only, I was going to say a few choice words, but really it was only 2 choice words said multiple times after the dinner when he walked in the room, and I wasn't 100% sure what or whom he was referring to. I had an idea, but...
Actually, maybe you should stop there. We should maybe move on.
That?
I was going to say, was he referring to anyone that might be on November the 13th show?
Potentially.
Potentially. Well, there's a lot of people there, so it'll be hard to guess.
Big win for the Freebirds over the Youngbloods, so I really don't even remember being in WCW at that point.
This finish was a little bit of a mess. It seemed like WCW...
Oh, why would you put that in slow-mo? That was so bad.
Was it me, or is WCW very convoluted with a lot of their finishes?
Oh, yes. I think it's the production values more than anything. That was pathetic.
Well, no, look at this finish.
At this. They're going to show it again. Oh, no, maybe not.
Oh, that was... Oh, my God, he hit his shoulder.
That left from Michael Hayes. Why would you ever show that?
The DDT was even worse. We got a young Arn Anderson and an even younger Sid Vicious.
I guess Arn helped with the ring. I'm not sure why he has that T-shirt on, but... And I tell you, this is a guy I'd love to have here in Boston wrestling and in this studio, but...
Sid Vicious?
The trustworthiness comes through.
Sid?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not taking any bumps. He should be okay sitting in a chair.
Well, he knows shows a lot, which is unfortunate.
You got to play
Even his own friends have tried to steer us away from that. I agree with you, Don. Titus is going to be a big star. Baby Marty wants that jersey for Christmas. I don't know, Larson. Rick B was roaming around earlier. Maybe he's answering the door for trick-or-treaters. Maybe Tony Atlas is trying to sell him an 18 by 24-inch drawing of Halloween, even though he doesn't like the spooky things.
Any reason for that?
I don't know. He will not draw ghosts, demons, goblins. It bothers him.
He kind of looks like a goblin, though.
Well, as his grandson said, he looks kind of like Shrek. Drew Tube, how are you, brother? We are on the right after the Freebirds Youngbloods match. We're with the Ric Flair Sid Arn Anderson interview. If you're trying to catch up,
Sid is going to be wrestling Sting later for the NWA World Heavyweight title. So they were still marketing it as the NWA title, even though it was really WCW. I mean, NWA was more or less 3 letters at this point. It wasn't really a whole lot.
And Drew, don't be confused. If you look at the original lineup for this show, I don't know. I'm going to ask my friend at WWE Network. They edited out 3 matches between the opener and the 5th match. So that's where we're at right now with the 2 men that were in this studio less than a year ago. Socko's close personal friends, the Nasty Boys.
Oh, I heard that these guys and him are really tight. They talk and text and everything.
He was abused by Sharpies.
I think he's been abused by other things too, but
Brian Knobs, unfortunately, in the hospital, but he said he's down to 292 on social media. We send best wishes to Mr. Knobs. Jerry was a great interview. I'd love to have him with us again. And it sounds like some extreme audio sweetening for the Nasty Boys theme song. I thought that was Linda at Halloween Horror Nights for a second. No,
Well, it looks
she
similar.
doesn't have green skin.
All right, so we have the Nasties. Oh, Steiners?
And this match led to the Nasty Boys getting the deal with WWF and about 6 weeks later. Because they were not under contract, believe it or not.
Well, they won the belts from the Heart to WrestleMania 7, I believe.
Right.
So they must have got in there right around Royal Rumble time.
They debuted at the TV tapings where Chuck Austin broke his neck in December of 90.
And Marty talked about this recently in the last episode, I
Yes,
believe, of Pirate Marty.
Party with Marty.
And his story about that's been pretty consistent,
Yeah.
I would say. And it was, do you think that's kind of, that hurt his career, the Chuck Austin thing? Or you think
It hurt his wallet, that's for sure.
Or you think maybe it was?
I don't know. I mean, WWF brought him back so many times. WCW hired him during the Monday Night Wars. I think at the end of the day, and I know someone may try and start shit with Marty at some point. Oh, you know what Dan said. But I preface this by saying, I like Marty a lot as a human being, and I think he's an back of
gosh.
the head. That's Concussion City.
Jesus.
Nasty Boys was stiff.
Gosh, that was a dangerous chair shot. I thought it was going to be the back. Did you? I thought, he's got his back fed to him.
He
I'm like,
fed him the back.
It's a back. And that was just, oof, that was rough. That was rough.
I think at the end of the day, when it comes to opportunities, Marty was given an opportunity 6 or 7 times by WWE, WWF to come back.
Because he was so
as
talented.
late as 2006. He can be his own worst enemy due to some of his issues. And this comes from a man that genuinely likes him as a human being, that's tried to help him at certain times, that's put up with a lot, and is a fan of his work. Wow, what a belly-to-belly from Scott Steiner.
And Rick Steiner with the Braun Breaker singlet out there, too.
Big mistake on Scott Steiner's part for turning down the heel turn that was presented to him by Bill Watts. He could have started what he became when he was a broken-down version of himself in '92.
Well,
big mistake, in my opinion.
Well, he wasn't his physical prime at this point. And yeah, if you put that personality on him in 91, 92, 93, he would have printed money. Granted, I don't know if he would have been as able to be obscene as he was later on.
No.
Because he was quite gratuitous with his language.
But I think his athleticism would have more than made up for it.
But I think people liked him so much as a babyface back then.
Well, 2 different opinions.
I understand, though. I get it. I agree with you. I don't know. I mean, to me, I think Scott, oh, gosh, the Nasty Boys were just, I never was a big Nasty Boy fan. I always thought they were a bit overrated personally as a team. I never really got into the Nasties. I'm not saying anything about them as individuals. I'm just saying them as a wrestling team. Though I think Sags was a little bit of the better of the two.
You got to remember, they were much younger than you would have thought at this point.
They were in their early 20s.
And Sag's career was ended pretty early by that incident that he had with Scott Hall at a house show in New Orleans back in the fall of 1996.
Oh,
when he got potatoed with the chair.
Oh, gosh, they're going for...
But, they were just wild. They were excellent at what they did, I guess is the best way to put the Nasties.
They took great bumps.
Yeah. I just want to try and catch up on the Don the Barber. Knobs' issue was more with Socko, not Cecil. Cecil was Knobs' bodyguard when he had to use our loading dock as a urinal. Larson, I hope to have many more Bill Eadie interviews. Bill is slated to be with us when we go back to the 80s, Saturday night, April the 16th. But I'd love to have Bill here before that. Don't forget, the Super Chat button's open. I don't want to drop any hints, but it's open, and that's what helps us afford to be able to bring him in. I don't want to say it out loud. I don't want him to know.
I know you've talked a little bit privately. Will that be Memorial Hall in Melrose or probably at a different location?
As far as I know, the contracts that have been signed, and it will be at Memorial Hall in Melrose.
Okay.
Jake the Snake, Axe and Smash Demolition, Warlord. Berzerker would like to join us, which is kind of interesting. His greatest claim to fame would have been in the 90s as the Berzerker, but in the 80s, he had a tremendous run, almost as the protege of Bruiser Brody around the AWA and throughout.
Well, those years kind of fall together a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at wrestling from 87 to 92, that's an era. I would call that an era.
Lawson, I haven't eaten all day, brother. You want to Uber Eats us? I'll give you the address, baby. John C. will go right out. If it's a woman that delivers it, forget about it. The food's never coming in. He'll be out bed in the car with her. But anyway.
Does it matter the type of woman? Or is he not very
It's up
particular?
to John C., not me.
It's just there's someone with a couple of eyes and a nose and a mouth.
John, do you have a particular favorite?
Food or woman?
Woman. You like blondes, brunettes,
Do you like them small,
orange,
large,
redheads, I should say?
tall,
Do you like Asians, African Americans,
Lithuanians?
Spanish women?
No particular preference.
All of them. Now, do you like the carpet about your length of the hair on the top of your head?
Do you like the ones that are free or the ones you have to pay for by the hour?
Well, come on now. This
I'm
is
just
John
I'm just
C.
kidding, John
He's a
C.
man's man.
Oh,
You don't have any favorite, really? Do you like is it more a personality thing? All right. Are you an ass man like Billy Gunn?
I'm a nice man. Bow, bow.
Do you like voluptuous, as Quincy calls them, babas?
What does he call them?
Babas.
Why isn't? Oh God,
I don't know, but that he's always called them babas.
Did he learn that from his good friend Al Snow?
No.
By the way, anyone who doesn't know, Al Snow is one of the funniest men alive. Follow his Facebook. He's great.
Phil says those with the pulse is John's favorites. All right, well, they have to be alive. Is that what? All right, well, that's good.
Just barely breathing is okay too, but
Don the Barber, I would agree with you. We've had our own issues with Jake, but the Jake of today is in a good place, especially now where David Reese is with AEW as well. That only helps the cause. The only worry to me is that AEW maybe decides to start having monthly pay-per-views or something like that, but where you have to line up those pay-per-views on the calendar sometimes in advance. I'm really not worried about that.
they
Kevin likes ebony women. All right, well,
good for him. Is that Kevin?
no, Kevin Petriantozzi
No.
of the Gold Exchange in
Yes.
Greensboro, North Carolina, would have got a grade A quality introduction.
Okay. I was going to say
This Kevin is a great friend as well, but I don't know why I love the Gold Exchange so much, but
you know what it is? I think he just likes saying all of it out loud.
I think it's because it took me so long to be able to pronunciate it right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I butchered that poor man's name for so long. John C., you weren't here for the Nasty Boys, were you?
No.
What a disaster of a day. I mean, that was
I know about the toilet.
toilets. Both of the toilets were broken.
Really?
Knobs couldn't even get up the handicap ramp, so he had to use the loading dock. And Cecil stood there almost like bodyguard Virgil in front of the door to make sure that no one would run out to the loading dock to watch Brian Knobs urinate. Now, I don't know who exactly he expected to want to do that, but Cecil was very protective of Brian.
Were they standing
Why?
back to back?
No, I think he actually went off the sides where the cars are. So he really let it go. But Cecil made sure no one would see, not to be confused with you. Then once it came time for them to leave, Knobs couldn't get in the car. So Cecil had to help Knobs get in the car and get the cold beer that was in the refrigerator.
Oh,
what
gosh.
a long day that was.
Phil says he likes the ones that can deflate.
Well,
Is that, did I read that,
Deflate.
Phil? The women that deflate, or is that
deflate. I'm sorry.
not ones who can deflate? Question mark. Do you like the ones who can deflate, Phil? I'm not sure if that's what he meant by that one. But
That's a stiff landing on the lower back of Rick Steiner. Is there anyone even watching Halloween Havoc with us?
there's quite a few people
Well,
here.
I'm talking about in the room, yes, but are they actually watching? Big, how are you, brother?
Oh, God.
Knobs
Okay.
needed his medicine. Yes, he did. Knobs was in rough, and I'm saying this from a health point of view. He was in rough shape that day.
Oh, gosh.
Potato City right there.
How many chair shots could they have in one match? Who's the referee for this? Is this Nick? This isn't Nick Patrick.
That is, oh my God, what the hell is his name? What's his name? What's his name? He was there forever. Yeah, you got it, Drew Tube. One thing I never liked about WCW was the cameraman getting up on the apron. Don't belong.
It does do it's a great shot. I do love the shots.
Use a jib.
Yeah.
Which of those, you know what a jib is?
It's like a
That almost looks like a giraffe's neck.
Yeah. It does.
To me, that's like a female referee. Don't have the cameraman on the apron.
I like the shots. I like the angles. I know at one point WCW would actually a lot of it, they would do the corner angle where they were right in the corner with the guys, and you'd hear a guy, which I don't like that only because a lot of guys go to the corner to call a spot.
Well,
You know.
and then there's that. Phil said, no, he's just joking with our good engineer, John C., who is a kindred spirit.
Him and
John C., did you know you had a kindred spirit up in the Worcester area?
Phil D and John C.
Phil D and John C. Look at they could be a tag team.
Yeah.
Saturday night, November the 13th, Memorial Hall.
Oh, gosh.
VIP packages and tickets on sale now. Fans, if you're thinking about going, don't forget, Saturday, the price is going up $5 because it is going to be a madhouse down here the week of the event. And there's so much work that goes into it. We want to save you a few bucks. We want to save us some stress. So we're doing that. Someone just yelled. What was that?
I think it was just a noise John made.
Oh, John doesn't want to be a kindred spirit.
No, maybe not.
All right. Well, it is Halloween. I guess it is the night of spirits.
What do you think about this show so far, speaking of Halloween?
Well, you know what? I'm a little offended that they edited so much out of it.
Like it was that. Wait, is Now's Busted Open?
Yeah.
Or
Oh, yeah. He's got good color right there.
Oh, God.
Potato City. I never liked the logo in the center of the ring. I agree with you, showbiz guy. I like a clean canvas.
To paint what you feel. I think actually I love the canvases with the logos later on where they did the pay-per-view logos. I love that personally. What if it was a canvas but your face is the logo in the middle?
No one would go. Chairman, I'd love to come to Houston. I don't know if I've ever told my Houston stories, but nice city. The homeless population shocked me. I think if we are ever to do something in Houston, it would probably be tied into a WrestleMania week. We'd probably do a Wrestle House and the WrestleCon. As far as us to run an event down there, the logistics of it would be challenging because even though we have talent that comes in from literally all over the country, it is probably the upper northeast part of the country for the most part. So it would be difficult to try and get everybody down. All of our support staff is based right here in the Boston area for the most part. But never say never. I'd love to. I don't know. You know what? If Texas is a commission state, I might change my mind. As athletic commissions are a pain in the ass, and they don't belong in wrestling. One man's opinion.
I was about to ask you, is Texas a commission? Because
I don't know.
Louisiana has a commission.
Louisiana was very difficult for all those independents.
And then I don't know about Texas. I only say Louisiana because it's right next door. So I don't know if they would. That doesn't mean they would definitely, but, some states around there.
Yeah, I'll say this. On November 13th, we probably have more people coming from outside of New England that are part of the wrestling part of the event than we do in New England.
Can I ask just for the people out
there
of
plane tickets.
Who don't necessarily understand about the commissions, what is the pros and cons, in your opinion, of having a commission? And if Massachusetts tomorrow started a commission, how would it affect your live event scheduling and running of those live events? Just for the people out there.
Likely, it would be bureaucratic bullshit. It'd be a waste like they have in New Hampshire. It's a waste of time.
A lot of paperwork.
In New Hampshire, not really. No.
Really?
Okay. You have to pay someone from the quote-unquote commission to show up. They collect $25 from each wrestler for a quote-unquote wrestling license. And this comes from someone that knows nothing about our industry. They know nothing about the wrestlers' training, their background, their ability. They could have never had a match before. Oof. But if they have $25, they're going to get the license. Then you have to give them $1 a ticket on top of it. Almost like what we have to deal with down the street.
So why would they need? I can
so
understand.
there is no use to it. Now, if you told me a commission was being created to oversee the quality of the athlete that was to get into the ring, only license those that have the ability to call themselves a pro wrestler. Okay, you might sell me on that. But that's never, I mean, are there any states that do that? I really don't know. I know New York, at least you have to have a doctor there.
But I've heard the stories of Jim Cornette talking about Ian Rotten's Mid-South Wrestling promotion back in the day, and they were doing all these death matches in Indiana or Kentucky because, oh, geez, another gosh.
Unique.
Yeah, very. But they were doing Indiana, Kentucky, and there wasn't a commission in one of the states, so they were able to get away with these death matches with the glass tubes, and that should be banned. I don't think anyone should be doing those things. I think it's just it's a disgusting display of just violence, and it's not good for the wrestling business. Listen, I don't care if a goof wants to cut themselves with a light tube. That's their opinion. That's their business. But for the sake of the wrestling business, I think it's a bad look.
I think if a promotion is to go that route, that's something you pull out of the booking notebook once or twice a decade.
Well, I mean, in Japan,
in an extreme blow-off to a well-built-up feud. But you know my thoughts on patience and pacing in pro wrestling.
Well, it's almost, it doesn't exist in a lot of places now, unfortunately.
I don't know how well known this is, but in '97, at one point, they were talking about doing SummerSlam as a football stadium show.
Oh, God.
And they were going to do Undertaker and Mankind in a death match. Very good match right here.
SummerSlam 97, they were going to do in a football stadium?
And they were going to do a death match with Undertaker and
they just
Mankind.
Didn't go that. They didn't. Well, the next year they did the Hell in the Cell, which was kind of gratuitous in the violence. Well, for the spots.
There wouldn't have been. And I think, if I remember right, Onita was going to be the referee. Because they had relations at that point over in Japan.
I know, but no.
They were booking guys out over there.
Did anyone
money.
Did anyone know who Onita was in '97 here in the States? Besides a hardcore fan?
You know where WWF had used some of that deathmatch footage in the spring of '97 when they did those really good sit-down interviews where they turned Mankind kind of into Mick Foley. Well, they showed that footage. Maybe fans were a little familiar with it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Would Onita have meant anything as far as selling tickets? I couldn't imagine, but.
Well, I think too in '97, that was the year WWF.
That's a good spot. I like that.
They brought in those luchadors, the light heavyweights. They were trying to kind of expand.
They were trying to try everything they could in '97 to stop the bleeding.
Yeah,
they opened the cruiserweight division,
and that was a very important year for them.
They had the minis from Mexico coming in.
Everything they could think of.
They didn't go the women route. Well, this is my buddy Dennis Brent again.
Oh yeah, we talked about him last week.
Good old Dennis. And I didn't send him a message on Facebook. Sorry, Dennis. If you're watching.
Look at that. He just spikes them right. He just spiked guys in his. He was so strong and just such a freak. For his brother too, but Scott was just something else.
Yeah, it's too bad they didn't have a bigger run in WWF. I think there's a lot of fans that are unfamiliar with them as a tag team.
Didn't last long. What, 2 years maybe?
Not even.
They got there in '92. They were gone by '94, I think.
Early '94.
Okay.
And they were suspended, quote unquote, left for a little bit. And later in, I think, fall of '93. They had an issue the same times. Michael was suspended and Matt Bourne got fired.
So late '93.
The fall of '93, yes.
And you know what? Steiner is a natural here. Look at his face. Look at his expressions. Hear this voice. He looks like an angrier Tatanka here.
Yeah.
In the face.
I can kind of see that now that you mention it.
But
guys, again, the world famous super chat button is open. It is calling your name.
Oh, what's this?
What is all this? Jesus Christ. Now Jerry Saggs is potatoing him with a popcorn bin.
He got dressed for no reason?
I'm going to guess this had to have been edited. I don't know how they could have changed that quick. Where Rick is. What a bad decision by WCW to put them in this position and not have them under contract.
At least they didn't have them go over.
True, but
I agree. Yeah.
They didn't go over in the match, but who's going over in the angle?
Yeah, that's true.
You know? Who's coming out of this looking better?
Where's his brother, Rick? Oh, being helped.
Henson, the Steiners, Royal, and Water. Yeah, you're right about that, Phil.
Yeah, I think the Steiners, I still have them as up there as maybe the number 1 or 2 greatest tag team of all time. Just in terms of the match quality, I think they're very high up on my list. There are other great tag teams too. I think Scott and Rick.
Hey, Jim and McClure, thank you. As I like to say, every dollar starts with a penny. You're all right in my book, my friend. I don't know if we're going to get to Houston anytime soon. There is a hotel in Houston that owes me right near the Minute Maid Stadium. They owe me a free night hotel stay. So I will be returning to Houston at some point. When and why?
Maybe you'll go see a Nationals
I don't
game.
know. I'll probably go see Shelton.
Shelton Benjamin?
Yeah, he's a Houston guy.
Oh, he lives in Houston. Okay.
Jamming. Wait, you're Larson? Why are you jamming now?
Change gimmicks.
Well, Larson, thank you. I don't know why you changed names, but, you know, it's Halloween, right?
It is Halloween. 'Tis the season. Thank you, by the way, whoever sent the super chat. Was that Jamin? Was that Larson?
The Astrodome is going to be redone in 2022. The Astrodome still exists. What do they have there? Football? Oh, I didn't know that, Larson. Well, we learn something new every day.
What did he say?
He said Jammin' McClure is his real name. He's just a jamming kind of guy.
Oh, hey, man. It's cool to jam out. Jam in. So we've got Flair, we've got Arn, and the wrestling.
I'm going to go by Dan
Reed and Simmons, right?
Peanut Head.
And your favorite, Ron Simmons.
What a shame. You know, I really do like Ron, but
how about this? The next show we
fuck him at the same time.
Can we not have Ron Simmons on the next show? We got to go a few Ron Simmons shows.
No, I don't know about 91, but 92, I think he's the world champion.
I think he is because he beat Vader for the title in August, and I think he held it to December. So I believe he is the world champion in October and Halloween of Havoc of 92. But even WWF, we got to at least do a couple of shows because if we do a show with Ron Simmons every week, you're just going to say fuck Ron Simmons every week.
You're right. Ron Simmons is a badass. I liked Ron an awful lot. Another one I helped set up some bookings for and never took a percentage like I should have for my time and effort. And then he fucked us when it came time for this event. But you know what? At the end of the day, he has to wake up and look at himself in the mirror. If it doesn't bother him what he did, I think that's a sleazebag. If it does bother him, at least it shows he has a soul.
Now, Dan, at this point, Butch Reed, I think by 91 was gone from WCW, correct? This was kind of him at the end of his full-time career. He might have, I don't know if he went to Memphis for a short time. He might have, but I think as far as he might have been done like a couple of years after this.
If nothing else, he was just doing random indies and such.
Yeah, but he still looked good here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, physically.
Yeah, still looked good here.
You know, I can't speak to this, but I've been told by people I respect a great deal that in the early to mid-'80s, Butch Reed was one of the top workers, top 5 in the business. And I never saw that version of Butch Reed.
It seemed like he kind of had, it's funny. Junkyard Dog was the guy he replaced as the top babyface. And him and Junkyard Dog had a similar sort of product. Like in 1983, 1984, Butch Reed was on top of the world in terms of being a worker 4 or 5 years later. You know, the Natural did not have the life expectancy, though it's been talked about he could have been Intercontinental Champion, and there's that old, well,
that was his own fault.
But did he have, he wasn't WWF Law in a year, I think?
Late 86 through
88, right?
Spring of 88,
Okay.
So not even 2 years.
Yeah, a year and a half.
So he shot him, whatever his issues, his demons were, shot himself in the foot out of a great push. Would if he had had the run that Honky Tonk Man did? Probably not. He wasn't as charismatic as Honky. And I think from a talent point of view, I don't think he had what he had several years before. Almost like what WWF got with Junkyard Dog, not the JYD.
Oh, he
was ever considered one of the all-time great workers, but he just continued to inflate and inflate and inflate to the point where by the time they got rid of him, even though I think they would have kept him if it wasn't for the problems they had with him, he was terrible.
Well, it's funny about JYD. He's a guy who in 1983 or so, 82, 83, he was great. And then by 85, 86, he was pretty much, I watched a match of his from like 86. I think it was him and Davey Boy Smith wrestling the Hart Foundation in Toronto.
Butch Reed?
No,
Oh,
I thought
JYD.
JYD.
JYD and Tito were guys. If a tag team was injured, they were often called upon to
But
fill
at least
that slot.
Tito could go. Say what you want about Tito. He could go. JYD by 87 was like, ever watch that Harley Race WrestleMania 3 match? God, it's rough.
I'm trying to think.
It's
It would have
rough.
been the July of 87 house show in Boston when Tom Zink was a little embarrassed. The Can-Am connection and the Islanders turned into the Islanders against Rick Martel and JYD.
Was this right after Zank left?
Yeah.
Okay. Wonder
Because
why
it was advertised.
Yeah, that's
That show, I think, may hold the record for the most substitutions I'd ever been to. Almost every match announced changed.
how does that? And now you've obviously had to deal with substitutions as a promoter yourself. In that situation, do you think that you could ever? Do you think that fans understand with substitutions now more than they did then, or it's always like eh?
I think at the end of the day, and you guys that are watching can probably answer this better than me, you guys want to see what we tell you you're going to see. Then when we have to change it, believe me, it sucks. It is the worst feeling in the world.
That's why I don't
What
say
we've
anything
had
on
to deal with
shows.
this week alone with Jim Duggan. I mean, and on top of that, knowing that we had to make this change, but I couldn't tell you guys out of respect to the Duggans and his need for the prostate cancer surgery. And then I come home from Florida to the Berzerker situation with his father dying. And I mean, it's just, you want to put a gun to your head. You get so frustrated and stressed because you just want to give the fans the best event possible. And I know I have worked every single day for 2 years on this event since we came up with the concept to go back to the 80s. Then we had to change it to go back to the 90s because AEW changed its pay-per-view date. I don't know if you guys heard it on, it was on something, but I am going to make you guys a video. We're going to do almost like a little documentary. I want to shoot part of it before the event, and I want to shoot part of it after the event. Because I really want you guys to know what we go through, especially this poor soul that gets such little credit, then gets bashed when things go wrong, that I have zero control over. But I think it'll make for an interesting interview.
And that's why I just wanted to say, I don't like to mention names
on
the show because I don't want to mention a name and then we go off the show and then you find out.
I yell at you?
Yeah. Or not yell, but like, by the way, this person just emailed me and they stubbed their toe and they won't be there on November the 13th. That's all. I don't want to ever mention a name.
Well, I've been very vocal about Ron Simmons because I think Ron Simmons was an asshole. There are times, I mean, can anyone fault Jim Duggan for not being there?
No, you can't. I mean, it's not like you messaged me and said, "Hey, Berzerker's father died. What a piece of garbage." It's not like you said that.
No. The Berzerker situation. Let me tell you, when we have the Berzerker, we're going to have a lot of fun.
I was looking forward to the Berzerker. You were telling me last week.
We're going to have.
You've got to meet John Nord, and I was like, I am looking forward.
We're going to have a lot of fun with that man when he gets here. I would actually like to get him here before April 16th, but I don't know how prudent that would be.
You know, I will say this. The one silver lining, Dan, about this is if you can get him for April 16th, and it seems like he wants to come for that time.
Oh, he's very excited.
Because that card is, and obviously it's almost 6 months away. That card still needs to be filled out quite a bit.
Yeah. And
it's good to have that name in the bag. You know, it's like let's say you want to have like your favorite meal, but you can't get it, so you get something else that you like just as much, but you're going to have the favorite meal next week. You're going to get that meal down the road. You just got to wait a little bit. So I think
we never announced it, but Berzerker was very anxious to come here based upon what Marty had told him, and he wanted to start,
what is a phone call between those two? Like, can we record
could you
that?
imagine?
We need to record.
Remind me of phone calls for 1 sec. In 1 sec. Okay. But Berzerker was he's anxious to come to the studio. We were actually going to do several episodes along with the live cyber autograph signing on Friday the 12th before his father unfortunately passed away. But I don't know how I can word this for it to make sense to the fans without giving away too much of his private information.
Is it about the phone call?
Did I tell you about the phone call?
You told me.
I was like a child at Disney World for the first time as this was going on. I'll just say, I guess maybe the best way to phrase it without sharing, John can tell John's story, but John is in a situation, I guess maybe the best way to put it is where he has to share a landline. And
someone may have picked up on the landline.
If that was ever recorded, that could have topped anything on November 13th.
The camera guy, he fell over. He was on the apron and he fell over.
Now, see, the cameraman at least took a bump. Are you ever going to see that John Candy
that was
looking
cool,
rep
though. That
in
was
WWE?
Cool, though. I actually like that he took a bump. He actually fell over.
I'll tell you, Ron Simmons, he's a bad man now, but was he a bad man then?
Was he a bad man in that blue helmet?
Yes.
Is there anything more uninspired, maybe a few things, than Ron Simmons' original Farouk concept with the glass? I mean, seriously.
That was a year when they came up with a lot of bad ideas.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they've had worse. King Kong Bundy's 95 run was pretty atrocious. That was pretty.
He was still King Kong Bundy, at least. They didn't reinvent the wheel.
You know,
he just was past his prime.
Yeah, that's true. I can mention that. I mean, I'm trying to think of what else.
That finish at WrestleMania 11 with Undertaker. Oh. I mean, come on. Phil, what's going on with the World Series, baby? Grand Slam from the Braves.
What's the score right now in Berlin?
I have no idea. I'm asking Phil. Hey, Fox guy. What's going on? Fox, I'm still trying to figure that out, brother. How many of you guys are coming November 13th? I'm going to put the ticket link now. What's that?
4-0 Atlanta, end of the first.
4-0?
Yes. They could win it tonight.
Well, I'm a Braves guy. We got our friends Marty, Jannetty, and Demolition Axe.
Oh, Marty is going crazy right now.
Bill is a big Bill fan. That are big Braves fans.
Marty is going nuts. And Marty's going to watch. If the Braves win tonight, if the Braves win the World Series, Marty's going to be talking about it nonstop on the 13th.
Oh.
He's going to be talking about. He's going to start the Q&A section like, did anyone see the Atlanta Braves? He's going to talk about it all day on the 13th.
He'll start talking about it on the plane, probably.
Probably, to some poor soul.
And for you folks that cannot join us live, if you go to that event page that I just put up, we do have mail order available. If you have an item you'd like autographed, if you'd like an 8x10 photo you'd like signed, once we have those up, we can take care of it for you. We can have it personalized, whatever you like. Like I said, all of the stars, not only are they going to be at Memorial Hall, they're going to be here in the studio that weekend, which is just more insanity for us. But
I just want to say, I love how the ropes are orange and the middle one has these black stripes and the turnbuckles are orange and black. I really dig that. I actually like that. Now, I didn't have an orange canvas. I don't know, but they should have. I actually like the orange ropes.
Fox guy, that would be MWF Studios, downtown Melrose, Massachusetts.
Oh.
What studio do you think, brother? You think I got more than one? I'm lucky we got this. Mentally and physically exhausted with 13 nights to go. John C's pumped. John C., have you ever been to one of our live events? No. Well, he's really pumped. His friend Cena is pumped. Did I say it right? Yeah. See, I'm getting good. See, Slick Rick, you get it, brother. Don't worry. Don't worry. The regular set in Studio A is not gone. It's not gone. We had to do some MWF wrestling related work, and it was just kind of easy to do it in Studio B. Is that a good way to put it?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah. Now, a lot of people are going to be here at the November the 13th show. I'm going to put this over here again.
Don't reveal any secrets.
I don't. No, this should be in Fort Knox, by the way, the paperwork here.
Well, you saw Tony Khan at the football game with the notebook that people kind of outed.
Oh,
so we can't have that with our notes.
Well, I mean, Tony Khan, my idea is his notebook's just full of drawings and tic-tac-toe. But that's
nothing wrong with a little. I played a little tic-tac-toe at the restaurant in Florida, as a matter of fact.
With the Little Marauders.
Yes.
Did you win?
A little tic-tac-toe.
Did you win? You got to start with the X on one of the corners.
Well, when he gets a little frustrated when he loses and he starts adding extra X's and O's.
You know what?
More than one per turn.
Thank you, because during the event, if I have some downtime, if I happen to have some downtime, I'll play tic-tac-toe at Marty on a
He may
board.
need to play a little
Yeah.
tic-tac-toe.
Yeah. He might pinch me every other game, but you know.
Please.
But no, that would be an interesting time. And I think that whoever comes, again, I've been saying this, if you see me there November 13th, please say hello. I'm a very friendly, warm person. Ask Dan. I'm always looking to talk to people and say hello and ask how people are doing.
Now, if they see me November 13th, can they say
Stay away
hello?
from him. Or unless you have food, like a protein bar that you want to offer him, a carbohydrate to make him happy.
I probably won't eat. And again, I don't even know if I finished that Tony Atlas thought from earlier, but one thing I will say about him that he is 100% right about is I am a very angry, miserable, stressed out person the day of our events, even these studio tapings, because I generally am so focused and so stressed on giving you guys the best experience possible, giving the athletes competing in the ring the best platform to work on possible, to give the legends a good experience, that I am laser focused and I don't eat. It's almost like I have to stop and breathe. Chairman Manolian.
You don't want to relax until it's done.
No.
And it's funny.
Because I feel like it's my duty to these fans that are not only spending their time, but their money to come out to this event. They deserve only the best.
Well, I've joked with you. The day of the event, I don't want to say a word to you until the final bell rings. And once the final bell rings, I will go up to you and go, hey, brother, how's it going? And then I think I might get a smile, depending on what happened that night.
Now, you want to know generally
when does the anxiety ease up for you? Is it during the last match? Is it right after intermission?
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
It won't be on Sunday because we have so much to do on Sunday this time. It'll be Monday morning.
So I won't say a word to you
when
until
I
Monday.
wake up, and I'll say, you know what? I don't have November 13th. I don't have the 12th or the 14th at the studio either. Obviously, I'll still be coming down here that day. But I'll lay in my bed. I'll put on my computer. I'll go into my email. And I'll start a brand new email draft where I start to put my different thoughts and different ideas into it for the next live events. That is my Zen place, I guess, if that makes any sense.
But
when it's done, when it's completed, what can I take from what we did and make the next experience better?
So in other words,
go ahead.
I was going to say, so in other words, I shouldn't say a word to you until April the 17th.
No, I mean, when we have our after gatherings, I'm usually in a pretty decent mood. I have quite a bit of several adult beverages, as long as John C. says it's all right.
No, John C.'s
many adult beverages.
Well, John C., I mean, he's a bit of a fruit juice freak. He loves his apple juice.
John C., are you old enough to drink? You are, all right. All right, you're going to have the beverage on November 13th.
What?
If it's legal, why would you worry?
John C.'s coming down.
Do you not have an ID?
No.
Oh, no. Oh, we'll kayfabe it. Don't worry. We'll kayfabe
Well, I was going to say, Quincy
John
Rastani
C.
loves a cold beverage. And I said, oh, Quincy, what do you like to drink? Is it like some sort of beer or some sort of liquor? He goes, no, it's a Coca-Cola. I want a Coca-Cola, just a cold beverage. Actually, I have to give the fans a funny story. You wanted me to come in one night, and Quincy was at the front by the door. I walk in, I open the door. Quincy is looking at me like a bald eagle, right, watching his prey. And he's literally looking at me, and I stare at him. And this is what he does. Like a wrestler about to lock up with someone. And I say, Quincy, how's it going? He doesn't say a word for a second. And he goes, Marty's looking for you. And I walked by him with one eye on him because I didn't want to be stabbed. You know?
He was telling me the last time he was here about the production of Jesus Christ Superstar he'd like to put on.
He really wants to perform in Jesus Christ Superstar.
What's about Jesus Christ Superstar he likes? That's the whole
Quincy
show.
is a very religious person, believe it or not.
It's not even that religious of a musical. Like, yeah, it's about
But to
Jesus
him,
Christ.
he
He
hears
just
the word
thinks it's
Jesus and he
Jesus
thinks
Christ.
that that's it. You know what I mean? Is Doom and
What if we
Arn Anderson and Ric
what-
Flair get it on here on?
if there's enough super chat money, if enough Patreon subscribers, I think you should put on Jesus Christ Superstar featuring him and Al Snow.
Well,
Al Snow can play Jesus.
those two have wanted to make. I don't know if a film is the right word.
Quincy told me about
They
this
have
film.
wanted to make some kind of maybe a short is the best way to put it.
No,
but
Quincy told me about the whole screenplay. Snow Stani.
Snow Stani.
Oh my
Al
gosh.
Snow and Quincy. You talk about kindred spirits.
But Deborah McMichael
when
in there.
they get together, are like kids. They're like best friends. Al loves Quincy. Quincy loves Al. There is just this unique chemistry that is out of this world.
Does
Some of the superstars, believe it or not, have hated Quincy.
I
when
could
they've
see
come
that.
in, including the late great Paul Bearer. It took him almost until his death to finally take to Quincy a little bit.
Do you think Quincy had anything?
Hated Quincy.
Do you think Quincy had anything to do with the quickening of Paul Bearer's passing?
No. I remember one time we were at one of our after gathering spots. There must have been 30 of us. I mean, it was a big group.
After a show,
Yep. And I was at the table I was at. Paul Bearer was sitting next to me, and Al and Quincy were maybe 10, 12 people away. And Quincy heard live music, and he got up and he started dancing. He had on a tuxedo. And he goes, "Look at fucking Quincy over there. Look, clapping like a fucking seal." I said, "Al loves it. Al can't fucking stand him." I said, "You're wrong, Percy. Al loves Quincy. Marty, I've known fucking Alan for 20 years. I know him. He doesn't want him over there." But
oh my god, that's so funny.
What does Tony think of Quincy?
Oh, what was that?
I think in Tony's universe, Quincy fits in. I don't know how else to describe
Would
it.
Tony call Rastani a racist? You think
He did?
But no, what do you think would he think of him as a racist? Maybe.
No, Quincy is
He annoys
Quincy's
everyone
like
equally.
with his specialness. He's like a big, outside of his moments of rage when he turns into an animal, he's pretty much like a 6-year-old.
I will always think about that dinner we had at the TGI Fridays, and you were just needling him the whole time. And he was very at first he was very well-mannered. He would say, "Marty, please stop." And then eventually he snapped, and it was like Brock Lesnar coming out. He was.
What did he? I don't remember.
He just basically told you, what was the exact word? I think he finally hit the table. He was like, "Marty, come the fuck down." And you and what was it? Sacco and his
Angelo. Not Angelo. Angelo.
Sacco and his little crony,
yeah.
Angelo, who didn't say a word. He just kind of
Silent but deadly.
He just followed her. He was the Virgil to the $1 Million Man of
Sacco's
Sacco's.
Virgil.
Yes, he's Sacco's Virgil. Would he be there the 13th, potentially? Sacco or Angelo?
Sacco is going to be there. I do not know about Angelo.
Is he going to be annoying anyone, Sacco?
I can say this. He's outside of the fact that he needs more experience in the industry, he's never bothered me. I think he's got
No,
eons
not
of
you, but
potential.
just everyone else he seems to bother.
I don't, other than the Nasty Boys, I never really heard anyone complain about him. Marty tried to give him, the coach talk once, but he is who he is,
Marty's funny because he'll call if Marty thinks you're a jerk, he'll just tell you, "Hey, I hear you're a bit of a jerk," but he does it in the funniest way. Like, he'll be like, "Bro, I'm not saying you're a jerk, but I hear things, and I hear that you're a bit of a jerk."
Look at the battles that Marty and I have had, and yet still talk almost every day.
We could talk about how I told you some things about how I felt about Marty after the last time he was here. I was not very happy with Mr. Jannetty over some things. I wasn't very happy with him.
Marty can dish a lot of bullshit, make a lot of bullshit.
Well,
Great point. I like what Phil just said. I wonder how Mr. Backlund and Quincy will get along.
they look similar.
The funny thing is, yes, they do. Backlund might think that Quincy's trying to dress up as him for Halloween. And Quincy, the funny thing is, Quincy has no idea who he is. He has no idea who any of them are.
That's the best part, I
He
think.
could probably tell you Hogan, Al Snow, and Ox Baker, and that's about the extent of it. That's about the extent.
He looks
of it.
like he could be Ox Baker's illegitimate son.
Did you ever see the Christmas special where
No.
Ox and Quincy sang Christmas carols together?
Oh gosh, is this even better than Joe Masters and the other guy you're telling me about?
That one was up there too. The Hollywood Ron Robinson and Joe LeBlanc Christmas special, but both of them were beautiful in their own ways.
Okay.
When Ox didn't know the words to any of the songs and just kind of hummed, while Quincy screamed, it was quite the Christmas
What year
special.
was this?
This was maybe the forerunner to the Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks toy drive.
So about 10 years ago, roughly?
Probably.
When did
If
Ox
I was
pass?
going to guess, I'd say 11. 10 or 11.
I'm trying to think of what year Ox died. 2012? Maybe no, later on. Ox, I think, might.
No, yeah, he's been gone maybe 4 years.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when you.
Oh, you don't have your Google machine there, John C.
By the way,
I was going to
Luger
ask
and
you to
Stan
Google when
Hansen.
Ox Baker died.
The last match ended in a double disqualification or a count out?
He died in 2014.
Okay,
so.
14.
Yeah, 7 years. Wow.
Luger looked great here. Stan Hansen was, well.
I love Stan Hansen.
Is there anyone
Hansen.
in wrestling today that's similar to Stan Hansen in your book?
I wish. My God, I wish there was one.
You
It
know,
was even his size and had his look. My God.
well, I mean, a bit of a beer belly on him, but you know what? It worked for him because he was one of the only guys.
His gimmick.
But if everyone looked like that, it wouldn't work. Like Luger, if everyone looked like Luger, it wouldn't necessarily work. And actually, I think Hansen probably gave Luger a couple good matches.
You know, I just thought of something.
What did you thought? You had a thought. That's
I had an
different.
epiphany.
And
I don't know if John C. would care in the least, but one thing we always say is, it's too bad the people in the control room can't see what we're watching. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I don't put WWE Network on in the control room for them on the computer screen. I don't know if John C. would necessarily even care about Halloween Havoc 90, but
it's interesting. I mean that's a good point.
Big, you're right. Yeah, Beer City Bruiser from Ring of Honor, but he's really not a mainstream guy. But yeah, physique-wise, he's right there.
Well, what do you think about Hansen?
Stan or Todd?
Todd.
Love him.
Do you think he's a little bit in that Stan Hansen mold? A little, not as big, maybe, but
I don't think he's as solid. Sorry, Hulk, if you're watching, but no, Todd Hansen is one of my favorite people.
I mean, there's not, and that's the thing about wrestling today. There's not, the monsters are not necessarily as there. I mean, not that Hansen was a monster, but he was such a legitimate.
No, he's not even my size.
I mean, Samoa Joe. I think Samoa Joe was similar to Hansen, but I thought he was a better worker.
I think Joe was
better athlete,
solid and thicker.
Yeah, better athlete. I think way better athlete. But I mean, Samoa Joe, I think, was one of the best workers of his generation
in his time, in his peak. Yeah.
Not right now. I mean, even now he could put on a great match. We saw that great match he had with Karrion Kross a couple months back. He could still go. I saw him. I mean, when he was in Ring of Honor. The issues they're having with that. We talked a little bit about that last week.
Did we? I don't even remember.
Well, we talked about they let go of everyone. And
hey, AZ, how you doing, buddy? I hope you're doing good. Happy Halloween. As it says on my chest.
Can you wear that shirt on November 13th?
I'd be a little late or very early.
Yeah, well, that's the
I
thing.
went outside to see, Linda had to come to the studio today, so I went out to see her in the car, and she was taken aback at I think she thought it was almost like a 98 Rock shirt from a
I love
distance.
those shirts. What were those shirts? Were they Versace or what was it?
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't know.
They weren't cheap. I know that.
But he would. I love those shirts. And actually, a lot of the boys, I always remember the Radicals when they went to the WWF. They had those shirts. What were those shirts called? They were like these certain kind of dress shirts. You know what I'm talking about?
I remember the shirt. I couldn't tell you the name.
But I wonder if a lot of the guys had them back in the late 90s. They were like these really
they were all making good money. That's for sure. They could afford them.
Yeah.
And if they wore them on TV, they could use it as a tax write-off.
Well, with shirts on TV, it seemed like I remember watching Luger. Luger would go out in a New York Yankees shirt in WCW. You could wear pretty much anything you wanted back then. Now, AEW you probably could now. I don't think AEW. I mean, you see guys wearing anything out there. Vince, I think, has been more. I remember at one point everyone wore track pants and their gimmick T-shirt. Now it's like if you go out there, you got to wear a suit or you got to wear something in your gimmick. Yeah, but I think wrestlers should more or less wear their gear. Unless they're just coming out maybe with like a pair of sweatpants or a T-shirt. But that's what I kind of grew up on.
I kind of like how UFC does it, to be honest.
Which is?
Well, from what little, to be fair, I've probably seen more UFC live than I have on TV. But it seems like the only time you see them in their fighting gear is when they're ready to fight.
Okay.
And I think that's not a bad way to look at it. One man's opinion. You're entitled to your opinion.
No, I get
you
that.
Guys are entitled to yours.
Well, it's funny when a wrestler wears their wrestling gear and they don't wrestle.
Well, I think it's a dead giveaway when they come out for an interview or a promo and they come out in their gear. You know it's going to lead to some match,
Right.
either on the spot or after the commercial break. I hate that.
And I also don't like how wrestlers can make their own matches doing a promo. That's terrible, in my opinion, because it says, okay, that means they just run the show. It's never
who's running the show?
It's never
at least they have two authority figures now. But I mean, you talk about bland and boring with Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce, I think, is effective. But the problem with Adam Pearce is they've never really described what he is or what his duty is.
Well,
I think they just call him, if I could be wrong, but is he not referred to as WWE official Adam Pearce?
I'm not exactly sure.
An official of what?
Sonya Deville, have they ever, I know she's a lesbian.
Well, whoa, hey, whoa.
Hey, and have they ever decided to make a storyline with her, especially with the women? No, or that's too...
I thought they could have really done a good one with Mandy Rose. I mean, they went that route with...
They didn't have to go full on, but maybe there's like some sort of affection where she gives her more opportunities. Not like a full romantic or sexual thing, but there's a little bit of nepotism there.
No whistling in the wheat fields.
No whistling in the wheat fields, but there's a little bit of...
Maybe a hum. Not a whistle.
Well, actually, they were in that infamous night together, but the guy tried to go.
Yes. I thought that whole description in court case could have gone in a different direction, but
they weren't in the same room together. They were in different bedrooms. But the best thing was I loved Cornette's opinion when he said, I would have just fired the both of them for being in the same house. I said, yes, that's great. Because they were working together at the time. They were feuding.
Sometimes I think I am Jim Cornette. When I hear his opinions on certain things, it's crazy how on par it is with me. And maybe that's because I think back to when Jim Cornette worked with Tony Rumble back in the 97 through 99-ish, when we became part of the NWA, unfortunately.
Oh, unfortunately, it wasn't a good time to be in the NWA. Well, 90, I'm sure now it's a better time than it was back then. Rough time.
I mean, what the fuck is the NWA now?
Well,
what was it in the 90s? Not worth anything.
Well, I mean, the NWA
even TNA put the NWA World Title on TV, and do you even remember that was the focus of the company for several years?
I do.
You do? All right, well, fair enough.
But not a lot of people watched TNA necessarily, but I do. I remember it. And actually, to be honest,
I remember TNA, but I mean, do you remember that the NWA title was the focal point at one point?
Well, I'm going to say this, and this is me. At 14 years old, I think it was 06. They changed to the TNA World Title.
I think it was 07.
07. So I was about 15. I was 15-year-old Charlie, and my opinion was the NWA. That's such a rich history. Like, why don't you just keep that? That's how I looked at it in my 15-year-old head. Now, I did not grow up on the NWA.
The problem is too much time passed.
But it could have meant something. They tried to be. Granted, they put it on Jeff Jarrett all the time, which did not help. And I get why, because Jarrett could count on himself, and he probably felt he was good to help get someone over. But when you're the champion all the time, it's a little tough.
Well, there was a little Triple H syndrome there. But I'll say this: Jarrett would always go. He was always. I always thought he was very good.
Oh, I think he was a great worker. And nowadays people talk about Cody Rhodes. And, Cody Rhodes doesn't have the belt at all, but Cody Rhodes makes himself such a focal point on the show. I think he's worse than Jarrett,
But you know what? He's not always on every week, is he?
Well, when he's on, he does these promos that go nowhere. And
Well, my problem is the wife.
Oh, the wife
is just so bad.
Talk about climbing the social ladder.
No talent.
Yeah.
I mean, please.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see them hiring her beautiful woman. She may be a very nice woman. But she has no attributes that I've ever seen that says she belongs in the world of professional wrestling / sports entertainment.
She's their chief branding officer, and she's the chief brandy officer. But
did you ever see? I don't know if we ever talked about it. That reality show they had.
It's on. There was on last few weeks. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. I've been watching Cornette's take on it here and there.
It is. Gregor, how are you, my friend? It is so bad. I mean, you have Brandy Rhodes sitting there. Like she was talking about how she runs the women's division, like she was Bill Watts in '85. I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd.
Oh, God.
Cody talking like he's in his mid-50s. He's been around so long. He's tired. And I mean, I've got to be at least 5 years older than Cody.
I think you're a good 5 or 6 years older than Cody.
And I think the world of Cody Rhodes. I think he's an exceptional talent. He's a really nice human being, but
someone said that
this reality show is just castrated the both of them. And she doesn't even have anything to be castrated.
He's got all of Dusty's bad habits.
I don't know. I'll tell you this. I think that stipulation, the self-imposed, I'm never going to challenge for the world title again if I don't win, was absurd.
Oh, I agree. But he just came on TV and said, I'm not going to turn. He said that on a promo the other week. I'm not going to turn. I know.
He said that on a wrestling television show or on the reality show?
That's what I've heard. On a wrestling show, an AEW show. He said, I'm not going to turn.
I think you may have that confused with the reality show.
No, this was on the actual...
on Dynamite or Rampage, he actually used that verbiage?
Yes. Cornette, I watched a Cornette clip earlier in the day, and it said, hey, Cody Rhodes' promo. It was an old man yells at clouds. He was talking about the people yelling at clouds. And he actually used the verbiage, I'm not going to turn, which to me, if I was running the promotion and someone went out and said, I'm not going to turn heel or what, I don't think he said turn heel, but he said, I'm not going to turn. If you say, I'm not going to turn my back on the fans, that's one thing. But if you just say, I'm not going to turn, I wouldn't want him in my promotion anymore.
If I was Tony Khan and he worked for me and I didn't know that line was coming, I would have severely fined him. Or suspended him.
I can't. I didn't remember. I thought Luger kept the U.S. title, so he lost it to Hansen.
No, Luger did the job, yeah.
So did he get it back? He must have gotten it back, yeah.
Hansen was never really in full time.
That must have been a stiff shot.
He was almost like Vader in Vader's first years in WCW. He'd come in now and then in between Japan tours, because that was their bread and butter. This is Dennis Brent taking the picture, my buddy.
Oh, man, look at how beefed up looking Teddy Long was back in the day. Was he on the gas?
I highly doubt it.
No.
Highly doubt it. He may have gone to a Mobil or a Exxon every now and then. But
actually, a quick question about Hansen. Did you watch any of his Japanese work in the 80s and 90s? What did you think about
Very
that?
good.
Because he was wrestling till like 97, 90s. He was wrestling Misawa and Kawada and doing all that crap over there in Japan. Which, by the way, I got to say this. I know a lot of wrestling fans, a lot of diehards love 90s All Japan. I never got into it. It wasn't my scene. Don't know what I was missing.
You know what it is? And I hate to say it, but Japanese wrestling for the non-foreigners has always been really hard for me to get into because I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand what's being said.
Yep.
I'm going to try and bite my tongue. You know, from my point of view, a lot of them have a similar visual.
Well, I can tell.
I don't want to sound racist, but I mean, it's hard for me to get into.
I think I've seen some great matches from Japanese wrestling, but I've heard people, they'll have the list, who's the greatest person of all time. So a lot of people say Misawa, and I'm like, I'm sure he was good, but I look at him and he had the stone face. He had people with forearms. I'm just like, I liked him more as Tiger Mask. Now Tiger Mask Dynamite Kid, that was a match I could get into. Muta, I loved Muta's work.
Now, see, that's when you bring a tremendous Japanese talent like that to the United States, it makes it so much easier for them to stand out because it's a unique presentation. Right. I thought Muta was phenomenal. 100% agree with you.
I mean, AEW has been trying to do it. They had Yuji Nagata and Minoru Suzuki. Those guys are old. Yeah. And the casual fan has no idea.
Exactly.
I mean even Impact, they brought Muta in against Mr. Anderson a few years ago. And it's like, well, Muta's in his 50s, and with bad knees.
Very bad. I saw him, oh gosh. And I don't even want to say met because it was probably a 10-second interaction, if not that. But it was at one of the WrestleCons. I think it was the WrestleMania weekend in Dallas. There really wasn't much as far as a green room goes, but I came across him in one of the hallways where we were kind of waiting to go in, if I remember right. And for all I know, he didn't even understand what the hell I said, but he seemed like a nice enough guy.
Well, he probably knows English a little bit.
And here we go, fans. It's main event time. I can't believe it. I don't know why WWE Network edited this so much.
We're going to be ending fairly. This is the last match of the night.
So if you want to get those super chats in to help us bring you a plethora of great guests,
Dick Patrick,
WrestleFest weekend.
Great looking belt. Phenomenal looking title.
Beautiful. The classiest of the classiest.
I did like the NWA title, the one that the Globe Dome. I did love that. I love that
small,
title.
I think.
I loved it. I thought it was a great looking title. Nick Aldis. Now it's not Nick Aldis anymore as the champion. I think it's Trevor Murdoch. But Nick Aldis I think is a great fit for the NWO champion. Looks phenomenal. Looks great. Yeah, I think the big gold belt. I think they should have brought back the big gold belt, but they want to brand their own universal title and make it look like all the other titles they have.
I'll tell you this, fans, if you have not noticed or noted, when we go back to the 90s on Saturday night, November the 13th at Memorial Hall, for our 20th anniversary, Bob Backlund is going to have the WWF Championship belt with him for you for the pose photos. Marty is going to have the classic white Intercontinental Championship belt with him for
I love
pose
that
photos.
belt. I love that
And
belt.
Alondra Blaze told me she has a women's championship belt she's going to bring with her. I don't know if it is the one that went in the garbage, but Alondra's going to have it. So 3 different belt photo ops you can get, which is really cool, I think.
That's cool. Now Marty has the white. Is that are they
No,
replicas?
I had to go to talk to some friends in Connecticut to get them.
So this is the original title that he
No.
had?
No. WWE helped me with this.
Okay. So,
Alondra's is ring used. I don't know if ring 1 is the right way to put it.
and then the other two, well, Backlund's would probably be.
Some of the, I don't know.
I just don't know if these are replicas or these are.
No, these are high class replicas.
Okay. They're not the original.
It's a prop.
Okay. That's all.
I don't think Bob held that title in '94 for so little. I don't think they would have even given him a copy of it.
Which title is he coming with? Is it? I thought it was the title he had back
No,
in
the
the late
94.
70s. Oh, so the Winged Eagle.
Yes.
I thought you were referring. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were referring to the title he had in the 70s and early 80s.
No.
Okay.
No. I would love to, but I
can't remember I kind of vaguely remember what it looked like. It wasn't as. I mean, I think the best WWE title. You know what? I really loved the title they had on Brock and Angle back in 02 to 05. I love that look. Hey, it was much better than what it became. That spinner title worked for one guy and one guy only.
I like the title when they I'm in a lot of pain, folks. When they gave Austin the new looking title, I thought that was an ugly belt.
The oval looking one.
Yeah.
You know what I didn't like about that? I watched that segment not too long ago, and he wins it the next night. And this is the thing about Austin that I guess was his character. He didn't treat the title like. It's kind of like Warrior and Rock. They just kind of threw the belt around, and they didn't treat the title with like respect. That's why I didn't like. One thing I didn't like, but that wasn't a bad looking belt. I think the Wind Eagle was pretty.
Maybe
cool.
if I saw it in a different promotion, I would have liked it. But
I think
I love those 3 classic titles from the '80s.
Which ones?
The WWF, the Intercontinental Tag Team and World. I love those belts.
The World Tag Team title I didn't like at first, and it kind of grew on me a little bit later. I think the World Tag titles now look. I don't know what they are now. They're just very odd looking.
The Intercontinental right now isn't a bad looking title. Again, if history didn't have what it had.
Yeah. I mean, AEW's title looks good. I think their World Heavyweight title looks good. I don't know if you saw the unveiling of the TBS Championship. Looks like something that they would have had on Home
Why
Improvement.
would you have a tournament for the TBS title on TNT?
I guess, I don't know.
And why would you keep the TNT title when all of their shows are going to be on TBS?
I don't know. I mean, could you imagine WWE saying, hey, everyone, we have the USA Championship? Well, they have the US
You
title.
know what? To be fair, I didn't think that was necessarily a bad idea. I'm just confused why they keep it if they're not going to be on TNT.
Well, it's
I mean, that'd be like WWE saying we're going to keep the TNN title. And when Raw was on that back in...
Who won that TBS title? I think who won that?
Is the tournament over? I don't even know.
I know Sammy Guevara is the TNT champion.
The TBS is women.
Oh, it's a women's title?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just saw a picture of it. I didn't know it was a women's title. But I know Sammy Guevara is the TNT champion, and because he beat Miro, I know that. Why would they just call it the women's title?
The TBS? Well, because they already have an AEW women's championship.
Right. Yeah.
You know what else? I am very disappointed. Do you know the fun that we lost out of Halloween Havoc tonight? Do you know what match they edited out in between the Steiner's match and Doom's match?
Something with El Gigante.
The Junkyard Dog against Moondog Rex.
Ah.
Do you know how much fun I would have probably had with that? Why are you taking my material from me, WWE?
Was that
Network?
Randy Colley
Yes.
as Moondog Rex? Not Larry Latham. That was Spot.
Nope.
The Moondogs, my God.
Yo, Real, how are you, brother? Or sister? Well, maybe we shouldn't gender identify, but Dan should be allowed to talk more. Mr. Wonderful, do I sense sarcasm?
I went to a gender-neutral bathroom the other night. Reminds me.
I've been to, I think a lot of them are, aren't they?
Well, I was in a bar on Friday night for Halloween, and I was in
one in my house.
John C's got one in his house.
A gender-neutral bathroom?
They don't discriminate at the C residents.
John, what?
Whether you stand or sit.
John's coming down to make a statement about
it. He really is.
He had he had the Vince McMahon power walk. You can't see it on camera.
Yeah, he kind of.
Yeah.
He did the big Vince strut.
Yeah.
C was making a point. Now, what bar did you go to?
It was a bar called Ego in Providence. I was out all night. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, I was
number 3.
No, it wasn't anything crazy. But the funny thing is, people were falling around me like flies.
Falling?
Yeah.
Or following?
Falling. Like
they were
falling.
Just collapsing.
Yes, around me. There was a little podium. This woman, she was a little bit bigger. She fell.
Little heft.
Literally, I'm here. I moved to the side, and she fell right where I was standing.
Oh, wait a minute.
She fell where I was standing. She had a big flop. It was kind of like when someone chopped down a tree and just fell. And then another guy fell. I guess they were drinking too much, potentially.
Well, that would have been my guess.
I was hoping. I don't know if some GHB was going through the club.
Maybe
if Marty was there,
I don't know.
If Marty was there, someone would have had a rough time. But, well, I don't know. I mean, I can tell you this. There were some interesting costumes I saw for sure. But it was interesting. I will say that, Halloween, it always brings out some of the more fun parts of people with the costumes and it's kind of like a little.
Oh, you should have seen Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando. It was nuts.
Well, any good costumes that you saw?
Most people, they didn't want you to wear them.
Oh, okay.
Because I think it potentially could cause confusion with the people
that
were
working
Universal? There doing it. What's that?
Is this at Universal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, my God, I loved it.
Now, I think you were telling me it's worth it every penny.
Pray to God I can go next year.
Do you think Captain Lou would have liked it, or he would have been too scared? Captain Lou is a little scared of his own shadow. He tells me.
Captain Lou would have gone on the.
He told me he had a nightmare one time. I said, "What happened?" He said, "Someone put gluten in my pizza."
Boy, you want to know something funny enough? Din Fan was guest DJing at is it the Greatest Bar in Boston?
I think there's a bar called that. Yeah.
Is that a bar in Boston?
The Greatest Bar.
John
yes.
C. Oh, what am I thinking? And him and Captain Lou wanted me to go.
Did you go?
This was last night at 9. I said, yeah, what the fuck? Why not?
Yeah.
And then I guess Din Fan kayfabed Captain Lou and went early on his own.
Okay.
And then Lou said, "Oh no, we'll take an Uber." I'm like, "Do you know how much an Uber is going to cost in the rain on Halloween Eve?"
To go to Boston.
I said, "No. I you know what? After nearly 11 hours at this fine studio, I could do without the Great Bar or the Greatest Bar, whatever it's called."
Well,
I went to Old Marati Hill and did some work and fell asleep around midnight.
Did you get to have some good food at least?
No, I don't. I think I had a peanut butter sandwich and carrots.
Well, hopefully you have something a little bit better than that tonight.
Well, fans, we need those super chats. Continuing to pile in. Larson, under his Halloween identity, helped the cause. John C's throwing in a nickel.
Is that a quarter? Maybe
a quarter or a nickel, C. Look at this. Look at the spin on that.
Actually, it's a token from Chuck E. Cheese, the Rat Casino.
That had to have rolled a good 12 feet. That was not 12 feet? Really? Walking. No, that was more than 8. Walking.
God said, tighten up on your locks.
1, 2, 3. Don't step on your toes. 4, 5, 6. Well, maybe you're right, C. About 8 feet.
See?
Well, I know. You don't have to brag about yourself.
I measure enough rugs to know what 8 feet looks like on the ground.
AZ can donate a super sack. What kind of sack are you talking about, brother?
Super sack?
If it's that one downstairs, we're okay. But If it may be of the other variety out in Arizona, we could talk, right? Wink, wink. This is maybe the most engaged Sid ever was during his career as far as in-ring work went. He actually seemed like he cared a little bit.
Sid, I think, was just awkward, but he didn't. I think he tried his hardest. I think Sid was a hard worker. He's just a little awkward in the ring.
I don't know if he ever fully got it. Does that make any sense?
No, I agree. But he tried. I think he tried to.
I'll tell you this. If I was a booker and I had him in my promotion, I would do everything humanly possible to push him to the moon. I would have found psychiatrists. I don't know what it would have taken, but I would have wanted to push this man to the moon because there is money. He will be eternally over for all of his problems, for all of his issues, all of his no-shows, all of his odd departures from companies. He will be over forever, in my opinion.
Do you think that he would have gotten that much bigger than what he was? Do you think that there was so much left, or he was like he kind of did most of what he was going to do?
Money on the table was
money
left.
On the table.
Big money on the table. I mean, just a tremendous look for a heel.
And as a babyface, he had his moments. I did watch a match. Actually, one match I watched of his not too long ago, him versus Chris Benoit on the infamous night where...
the night. Yeah.
But you know what's crazy? Benoit, they're both baby faces, but Sid, I think, might have been more over than Benoit at that point.
You go back and watch Survivor Series at 96 at MSG. My first time, that was my first time there. When he beat Shawn for the title at Survivor Series 96, I couldn't believe the response.
Was Shawn that booed?
Yes.
He was that.
Out of the building. He got Cena reaction.
Why do you think Shawn was getting heel heat? You think he was just not liked as a babyface, or he just... Because Shawn, he's always been a better heel. And that's the thing. His second run, they never used him as a heel, or very rarely did they use him. And I think he was a much better heel than as a babyface.
Sid just had the type of personality, the type of attitude that was going to be over in Philly, that was going to be over at MSG. I don't think the fans necessarily hated Shawn, but they loved Sid.
The title change. The title change.
Phil said Sid was an awe-inspiring presence in the late 80s to mid-90s. John C's hair is an inspiring presence in 2021. I'm rather impressed by
John,
that.
could you put in a ponytail?
Have you ever tried to comb it back and see how far it would go? See if you could have a little Rapunzel action? What does it look like wet? Look at the balloons. This is turning into a party here in, I don't even know, where was this? Was this Philadelphia?
This might have been. The first one was in Philly, wasn't it?
No, Chicago. I stand corrected.
The Road Warriors were on this card. Oh, no, they were in...
Stick a Fork and the Road Warriors. They were long gone.
Yeah,
Now, this to me was just mass confusion.
Oh, you're right. No, they were gone at this point.
And took away from a feel. Yeah, they were headlining in WWF at that point. Mass confusion.
Well, it was Barry Windham.
Maybe that's what they wanted, but
it doesn't make sense because Barry Windham came out. Actually, Sid has gone on record saying he didn't know this was going to happen. He just was told in the ring, take the Stinger Splash, 1, 2, 3. That's what he said. He said they didn't know it, but I don't know if that was the plan. But Barry Windham... And you can tell Barry, I mean, look at the body alone, but
from a distance, little trick or treat.
A little bit, no, from a distance. And I think Barry was pissed because they had to cut his hair. Barry was not happy with having a blonde flat top.
For an angle that really went nowhere, didn't get over.
It's an interesting idea. And this was the Jim Hurt era again, so, you know, they
wanted to do, I guess, a trick for Halloween.
But Sid was out the door not too long after this. Maybe another 6-7 months later, he was gone.
May of 91, he finished up.
Yes, and he's talked about that where they were going to offer him the big spot, and well, they didn't. Oh, another Ron Simmons next Halloween Havoc 91 has Ron Simmons. So you
got the main event on that one too. Ron was Mr. Halloween, was the Undertaker of Halloween Havoc.
Well, you could talk about how Ron Simmons is a piece of shit for the next few weeks if you really want to.
Well, see, the thing is, there is still a part of me that likes Ron. If I had time to waste and actually talk to him on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to kind of understand the situation better. But
Oh.
when you lie to me, fuck it.
Well,
I've had it. I at the point now where we're so close to this live event, I have to say, fuck it. I don't have time to waste. Chairman Manolian has work outside of his duties with Boston Wrestling MWF. He spoke to him on the phone, and all he wanted to do was talk to me. I don't have time for that. We made an agreement. I have it in writing. What more is there need to converse about?
Well, that's true. I was going to say, we talked about what the next few, I don't know how long you want to go with these watch-alongs.
Forever.
Forever?
As long as you guys love it and can super chat up, baby.
Well,
You like to chat,
do you
but
have,
sometimes you got to super chat,
I don't
right?
know if anyone sent any requests for the next few,
Well, you know what? Fans right now, if we're talking early 90s, do you guys have any special requests for this coming Thursday?
Is this your favorite era? Early 90s?
Well, it kind of fits the theme of our event.
Well, I was interesting enough. Are you the kind of person when you pick events? Do you like to watch them chronologically? Like you talked about Survivor Series.
It helps.
But do you like if we did a Survivor Series? Would it be like we could just pick a random Survivor Series, or do you really want to go back and watch? Because you can't watch all of them in the row because you want to move on to something else.
Personally, for me, I'd like to do them in order. As far as what the fans want, I like to make them happy.
Okay.
AZ keeps saying there's a lot of super sacks.
Because we can only go so far with I mean, it's not like we can watch every Halloween Havoc for the next 7-8 weeks.
Yeah, it kind of loses its. Oh, look at a young Eric Bischoff. Well, we won't talk about that right now.
Well, yeah, he was in the he had gotten WCW in 91.
He's someone I'd love to have in the studio.
Great on camera.
Great on camera. Good human being. Yeah, I know a lot of people didn't like him from that.
Oh, God.
Jesus. Making Abdullah out to sports entertainment like he's Eugene. Drew Tube says WrestleMania 6 or Royal Rumble 91. That fits the era.
WrestleMania 6 or Royal Rumble 91. That was Drew Tube. So
we basically have 3 slots to fill if we're going to go through as we have discussed.
Well,
but you said we were going to talk about it.
I think we should. Well, I want to say this. If you're going to, let's just say hypothetically, you want to do every Sunday in November, which would be a little tough with your November the 14th.
Well, we're still going to have that live episode, at least one live episode that day.
I would say if you're going to do, well, there's November 7th. Is that the Sunday? 7th, yes. The 14th,
yep.
21st,
yep.
28th. I would say at least 2 of them. I actually say all 4. Just make them Survivor Series, or you do an old Starrcade if you really want to go November themed.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and then if we decide we want, we're still working on. I like that angle. I'm not watching. A dear friend that has encouraged us to do that weeknight program. Maybe we could do a mix of Survivor Series and Starrcades.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Are you talking about the Lou Data show? Maybe.
Yes.
Yes. I think Lou Data. He's definitely got the
data was corrupted.
Yes. I think personally, in November, I think every week should be an old Starrcade or Thanksgiving. In my opinion, one man's opinion. Oh, not an old Star. Yeah, an old Star, because they did Starrcades in November up until the early
'88.
Yeah. So you could do that. And then Starrcades in December, but it's what the fans want. It's really a show, I think, for them. And there's other promotions.
Maybe we could do. I'm just throwing out ideas. Maybe if we do the Sunday night one, those could be Survivor Series themed. If we did a Thursday night one, those could be Starrcade themed.
Good idea. I think at least if it's November, you have to do I would say at least 2 Survivor Series.
I saw that, Mr. Wonderful. Was it any good?
What was that?
Ron Simmons was on Jerry Briscoe and JBL's YouTube show.
Maybe he'll talk. He was
3 people up until a couple of weeks ago. 3 people I would have considered good friends. But I love Jerry Briscoe and I love John Layfield.
Well,
good people.
I was going to say, is there a Survivor Series that when you personally think of a Survivor Series you really liked? I think I asked you. You said you liked them up until about 93, all of them.
It just lost what it was when it turned into every other pay-per-view on a Sunday night in 95.
Right. Within your houses. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, the '93. I always think of, I told you I love the bit Bobby Heenan had about Stu's Bruins jacket. And he calls it Helen, and that was his last pay-per-view. I think he was out the door right after that in
couple weeks.
Yeah,
couple weeks.
So,
so fans, let me ask you this. I know you just threw out Oh, Chris Steves, you messaged me about the poster. I think I get your email. I'm going to email you back on that, because if you were to order it for what the price is per individual, autograph on there, if you look at the mail-in page, I have an idea that'll save you money if you want all 8 of the featured guests or even more on it. But I'll get back. I'm so swamped. And then, trying to get ready for this tonight. But do you guys at home like that idea, or are you really big on Royal? I know Royal Rumble 91 keeps popped up. Oh, it's 4-4 in the middle of the third.
Oh, wow. Larson has a question.
Yes, Larson.
I was going to say, Well,
my idea is, again, folks, Survivor Series Sundays, Starcades Thursdays, or maybe vice versa. It's John C. What do you think?
What?
What do you think?
About what?
I was thinking, well, because as we're gearing up for a big month of November, along with the Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive, we were thinking Sunday nights we'd do some old Survivor Series watch-alongs from WWE/WWF. And then on Thursday nights, we'd go with the NWA and WCW and do old Starcades. What do you think? John C. is in concurrence.
So you want the old Survivor Series on Sundays and Thursday Starcades.
Or flip-flop, whatever the fans like.
I'm trying to think of
John C's the booker.
Oh, so a couple of people talked about how Warrior should have went over Slaughter and won. And Drew Tube says, I was so pissed when Warrior lost to Slaughter, I stopped watching until Hogan joined the NWO.
Wow. That's some serious heat.
Yeah.
Well, by gosh, I think we got it. I know John C. has usually missed a Sunday after his weekend of all his various women on Friday and Saturday nights. He needs a day to recover down here at MWF Studios. Is that correct?
No.
It's not correct. Are you sure? We're putting you over, brother.
Phil likes the Survivor Series with all the Hart brothers and Jerry Lawler, but that was
93.
That was with Shawn Michaels.
Not the king.
Which that show was a little. Well, like I said, you have Bobby Heenan telling the world that Helen Hart looks like a bear.
Well, and I have some other interesting news for the fans. At 10 p.m. tonight, we have a brand new MWF Extra. Club Cam Zagami of the Uprising is here in studio, unleashing on his enemy, John Cena Sr. Those two have been going tit for tat online for quite a bit.
Where did the heat start from? Do you know?
Well, Cam was like Johnny's protege, his Virgil almost. And then Cam went on to
I wouldn't say Virgil was a protege. He was more of a bodyguard.
No, definitely not a bodyguard.
Yeah, I don't know whose body he's guarding.
Well, he's still trying to figure out what kind. But anyway.
Oh, God bless him.
He unloads on John Cena Sr. There's a new look uprising. They've signed some tremendous new athletes that are going to be competing back to the 90s Saturday night, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose. And he talks even a little about the stalker Dylan Cage, who I cannot believe that idiot John Cena Sr. would be booked to come November 13th.
Kind of looking over my shoulder on the 13th?
I am not happy at all. David Reese said you and Cena Sr. collaborate, work together, and Cena Sr. did that on his own. And you know what? I'm trying to find a good place with Johnny mentally, but you know what? That felt like a knife in the back.
Do you think Johnny's going to be in a little bit of a different mindset November the 13th than he normally
Johnny's
is?
Got so many enemies. It's going to turn into Who Shot JR back at the what was that show called? Dallas.
Oh, gosh.
But I'm going to put the link in here, folks. Join us at 10 o'clock. Cam is a unique character, to say the very least. The Braves take the lead 5-4. MWF Extra. 10 p.m. link. Boom. So if you want a super chat, baby, super chat it up. We get running low on time here. We had fun. I love these watch-alongs. I love being able to interact with you guys. I can't wait until I can do it when I'm less stressed out And, you know, like how I even began the show, having to text with people and blah, 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 blah. But I just tell you, if you guys and gals come out Saturday night, November the 13th, you're going to have the time of your life. It's not going to be some indie show at a VFW hall. It's not going to be a WWE TV taping where you forget the matches a week later. You're legitimately going to have memories that'll stay with you forever. It's as an engaging and an interactive of a pro wrestling experience as you'll have. It's not just a fan fest where you go to get autographs. It's not just a wrestling show where you get the in-ring experience. You get everything. The VIPs get the Q&A before it even begins. Everybody can partake in the Autograph Photo Fan Fest. Everybody gets to see the live wrestling. It's the kickoff to the Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive, where one fan, it's almost, if you're old enough, that remembers Bozo the Clown. I always wanted to be on that show and win the treasure chest that one kid would get. That is the spirit of the raffle that we'll have November the 13th, where one fan wins a huge jackpot of prizes. We're going to have some silent auctions with some great autograph merchandise, thanks to our friends at WWE, who have been a huge help with this event. Believe me, even at 5 o'clock on a Friday night.
You didn't hear from them.
What's that?
You heard from them at that time.
Yes, all weekend.
Wow. Because we were talking at that point and you weren't sure if you're going to hear from anyone.
It is nice to have friends. It just shows sometimes when you put goodwill out, even in the worst of circumstances, goodwill can come back to you. We're even going to have a 50-50 cash raffle. Someone can leave with a little dinero.
Yeah, well, that's always a good thing.
All in one night. Again, head on over to bostonwrestling.com. VIP packages and tickets are on sale now. If you can't attend and you're still interested in autographs like our friend Chris Steves, mail order is available for every superstar. So if you have an item you want to mail in, you can mail it to us. If you see one of the 8x10 photos we have available that you want signed, we'll sell it. We got to make it. It's a huge investment. We got to make our money back.
Well, what is now for the VIPs? The VIP packages are still available, correct?
Yes.
Now,
limited.
Now, do you have a number how many VIPs you've? Oh no, you tell me. It just gives you a certain number.
See, the thing is, there are 3 different tiers.
Okay.
The top 2 tiers.
Can you just explain?
Very limited.
So what does the top tier VIP package get?
They have to go to bostonwrestling.com.
Okay.
I mean, they get admission to the free private charity event we have in the afternoon that we don't really publicize, that we do with a lot of the Special Olympics, Make-A-Wish, and so on. They get the VIP Q&A that's not open to general admission. They get the group posed photo with all 8 90s legends, which is really cool. They get one, depending upon the high tier package, you get an autograph from each superstar of your own item, or an 8x10 we'll have for sale, an individual pose photo. They get an autograph poster of the event, which is really cool. So if you want the ultra package, it's the best value in wrestling, folks. If you see everything, you get a guaranteed front row ticket, the best seat in the house to the live wrestling event. We're going to have limited invites to the superstars we're going to have here on Friday and Sunday. So it's going to be a really cool experience. I don't know what much more I can say to try and sell it. You know, I know we've had a lot of change.
I think you're going to have more, unfortunately.
Just shut up.
No. See how mean he is?
We had to stop the presses literally on the poster Friday when I got the call from the Berzerker about his dad. I mean, it's a labor of love, but we need a little love back. To all the fans that have purchased tickets, we thank you so much. We send our thoughts to Hacksaw Jim Duggan as he recovers from prostate cancer surgery. And you know, we still try and rebook events we've lost. This guy's always listening to me.
Apparently, he wants to know if you're okay on prostate cancer surgery.
Well, you know what? And what do I have? About 10 years before I have to start to go? Dear God.
Well, hey, it's good to get checked.
I've been probed many times in my life verbally, but never quite like that.
Oh, I thought you said you were probed anally.
No. That's what I'm talking about when I have to go for the test. Isn't it 50 when you're supposed to go?
I think 50, 55, run there. And John Nord is about, what, 60?
Yeah. All right, well,
I'm sorry. Hacksaw's in his 60s. Hacksaw's almost 70.
Yeah. Those 8x10 glossies. Cena, please. All right. Oh, wait a minute. Braves score triple home run 9-4.
Wow, what inning? Mid-fifth still?
What inning are we talking, Reynaldo? All right, guys, we are running out of time. Yeah, I know about that, Rick, but there could be some trouble in paradise, which puts a smile on my face. But we'll talk about that in an email, maybe. Again, folks, help the cause. November 13th, we're going to be having live superstars in studio all weekend long. Get some 8x10s. It costs a fortune. When you talk about what it costs to bring these talents in, airfare, hotel, the cost of the venue, the insurance, the ring rental, the police officer. You know what the price of that went up to.
Is that increased? I thought.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
I can't remember the exact number you gave me, but it was not a high. That was not a low number at all.
No, not at all. The printing, the advertising. Do you know how much money in advertising we flushed down the toilet on the original incarnation of this event before coronavirus? I mean, couple grand then. Now the advertising for this event. I don't want to give a number out, but you're talking about car money.
For a brand new car?
Well, it depends on the car, but a pretty good car money. It's a heavy, and I say this, the fans have stepped up. It's been pretty good thus far, but we really need to knock this one out of the park so we can do the same thing all over again on April the 16th when we go back to the 80s on Saturday night, April the 16th, but we'll have much more on that. All right, John C., we're running out of time, baby. Are you ready to hit that magic button? You let me know with a big clap. We thank you for tuning in. We're planning on being live every Thursday, every Sunday throughout November. We have our regular talk shows Monday night at 11 after Raw with Oscar. Tuesday night, it's Wrestling Insiders Extreme after WWE NXT. Wednesday nights, we have Wrestling Insider Special Edition after AEW Dynamite. Thursday nights, you never know what to expect when we party with Marty after Impact on AXS TV. Then Friday night, we round out the week with the dad almost of the crew. After SmackDown and AEW Rampage, it's John Cena Sr.'s Fabulous Fridays. What I found very interesting was after one of Johnny's recent episodes, I think you were here for it, John Cena, the son of WWE and movie fame, followed us on Twitter.
You told me that.
He's trying to keep an eye on what the father is up to.
Do you think that, and I asked you if there's some relation with what's going on with Cam, because Cam was a participant on the show.
Well, Johnny shoots on the Bellas an awful lot, too, so maybe he wanted to see that.
Listen, I don't know how even John liked it. I don't even think John really liked any of the Bellas.
Well, that's a different story.
I think that might have been a little bit of a cover-up.
For what?
Well, sometimes people want to, I shouldn't say, maybe that's a little bit out of school for me.
I thought you were trying to insinuate that it was John's beard.
Well, I wasn't going to say it was as a toupee.
Well,
maybe
Cena Sr. has a beard of a different kind.
Well, maybe it was John's goatee.
Maybe that was it. All right, wrestling fans, had a blast. I hope you guys did too. Stay tuned. We've got also this week we have an interview with Bob Backlund coming up. Fans on Patreon are going to be able to see the Demolition Axe WrestleMania 4 watch along when Demolition won the tag team titles from Strikeforce in Atlantic City. So much great stuff happening over on, I'm going to put it right here, baby. If you want to help light us up each and every month for the cost of a cup of coffee, dear Lord, patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. For my partner in crime, Mr. Wilson, say hello to him November the 13th. For the man doing it all in the booth that doesn't get the credit he deserves, but he knows he's a friend of mine, and he can count on me if needed, John C. Riley. I'm Dan Marati, unfortunately. I wish someone else could take that job, but that's a different story for a different time. We'll see you on the talk shows all week. Follow us on the social media. God only knows what the hell is going to happen next. Until we speak again, folks, you and yours be well. Good night from Boston. Happy Halloween. Boo.